following is a TCI of Central Iowa sports presentation.
It's the National Conference All-Stars versus the American Conference All-Stars in the first ever Arena Football All-Star Game. Hello and welcome. I'm Larry Morgan with color analyst Mike Newell and Howard Balzer of Pro Football Weekly. History in the making is in the 7th season of the AFL. They play their first All-Star Game. And, Mike, the idea for the ball game came up because of tragedy. Out of the flood comes something really positive, an All-Star football game.
You know, they've had All-Star teams in the Arena Football League for 7 years now, but they've never had an All-Star game. And so Pat Foster, the father of Jim Foster, the founder of Arena League Football, said, hey, why don't we have a benefit football game to benefit the flood relief projects underway in the state of Iowa. Great idea. The point is they tried to put together a football game in 3 weeks. My gosh, they've done it, and a good job as well.
They have, and the proceeds, some of the profits from this game go directly to flood relief. Howard Balzer has covered the Arena Football League since its inception. First All-Star game, Howard, how about the caliber of the talent over the years?
Well, we're going to see some tremendous football players tonight, the best that the league has to offer. And actually, there's some players that are really great that weren't able to be here. But the caliber of player that's here is tremendous. I think the one thing that I've seen in this league since being involved in the first demonstration game in 1986, the league started the next year, is just a steady increase and an improvement in the caliber of play. And we're going to get we're going to witness that tonight.
One thing we learned, Mike, in watching the preseason game here, it takes a unique football player to survive and be successful in this league.
Back on April 29th, we had a chance to do Cleveland and Arizona in that preseason game. It was a player elimination game because both teams came in with 30-man rosters, and there were a lot of guys who wanted to do a lot of heavy hitting to earn a spot in that roster. I was amazed how hard these guys hit. The pads really popped. In the short field, 50 yards, half the width of a normal football field. The goalposts, of course, are narrowed. But the intensity of the hitting is something that really surprised me. Great part about it, the fans here are right on top of the action. And by the way, the boards are live, real live. It's like a hockey game.
Believe me. Howard, when you first heard about the adjustments in the rules for arena football, did you think it would succeed as it has?
I really wondered. In fact, I remember thinking back to meeting Jim Foster in 1982. It was in Canton, Ohio. We both happened to be at the Hall of Fame, and he came up to me when we started talking. I didn't know him. He had recognized me from being on ESPN a little bit, and I happened to mention that I had worked once in an indoor lacrosse league. He ran out to his car, brought his attaché case back, opened it up, made me sign a non-disclosure agreement, and said, here's my idea for indoor football. And I looked at him and I said, you're not serious, are you? But the more he talked about it, then actually when I went to a hockey game that subsequent year in St. Louis, and I sat there looking at the hockey rink and then visualized the football situation in that, I said, he might be on to something. And the nets and all those things, it makes it a real fast-paced, exciting sport. And like Mike said, the fans being right on top of it. I've never been to a game where the fans just haven't had a great time.
You talked about some great players in this game. Just name a couple of the real headliners. I know they're all All-Stars. Who are the real headliners we should watch for?
Well, Jay Gruden, the quarterback, MVP of the Arena Bowl last week. He's a great quarterback. He'll be throwing to one of his teammates, Stevie Thomas, so we can look for that combination. Paul Justin, the quarterback on the other team, he's a guy that set a league record this year for attempts, completions, and yards. Also, excellent kick returners with the Nets. Tyrone Thurman and Fred Gales both have set records in the league in kickoff returns. Gales returned 3 for touchdowns this year, and that's a big, exciting part of the game.
Don't you love those nets at the end of the arena?
I love it, and, you know, Howard's brought up the kicking game. Keep an eye on Black and Zendejas. This could come down to kicking. Those goalposts are so narrow that it scares most kickers. These guys are very accustomed to coming down to focusing on a very small target. May see a drop kick or two. Who knows? Get an extra point for that. But the field goal game could be the decisive factor here. But off the net, the play with the kick returners is absolutely fantastic. We're going to see a lot of fast-paced play in this one tonight.
Concerning the personnel, are these teams as evenly matched as they would appear to be?
I think they really are. I mean, you have a lot of great players on both teams, good coaches, Larry Kuharek and Danny White. Kuharek, from what I understand, this guy is intense. I mean, he's taking this serious. Danny White, maybe not so, and a lot of people think the Kuharic's team will win easily. I don't think so. There's a lot of talent on both teams. George France will be one guy that Paul Justin will be throwing to. A lot of great receivers, good defensive players, too. Michael Clark, great Ironman in the league, set a record for tackles during the regular season. So I believe it's going to be an evenly matched game.
I could say that we'll be in for a lot of action, we think, but with arena football, it's a guarantee.
Yeah,
so we look forward to it, and we'll be back with the starting lineups right after this. It's time to meet the All-Stars. His public address announcer, Chuck Shockley.
5'11", 175. He played his college ball at West Virginia. He is from the Cincinnati Rockers. Number 1, Gary Mullen. This next All-Star is a former member of the Philadelphia Eagles and Dallas Cowboys. He is a kicker, 5'7", 200 pounds, played his college football at Arizona State. Number 3 from the Arizona Rattlers, Luis Zendejas. One of the quarterbacks tonight for the American Conference. He played his college ball at Stephen F. Austin, 6'2", 190 pounds. From the Dallas Texans, number 7, Todd Hamill. Also at quarterback tonight, 6'4", 210, played his college ball at Arizona State. From the Arizona Rattlers, number 10, Paul Justin. At wide receiver and defensive back, played his college ball at Oklahoma State, 5'9", 190 pounds. From the Detroit Drive, number 14, Michael Clark. One of the most exciting players in Arena Football League history. He's a wide receiver and defensive back, 6 foot, 180 pounds, from Baker College in Kansas. From the Detroit Drive, number 27, George LaFrance. Wide receiver and defensive back, 5'9", 175 pounds, from the University of the University of Idaho, and the Cincinnati Rockers, number 29, Richard Carey. A man familiar to fans of the Big Ten Conference. He is 6'2", 195 pounds, having played his college ball at Michigan. He's a former Buffalo Bill, Chicago Bear, and San Francisco 49er. From the Arizona Rattlers, number 30, Garland Rivers. Six foot 3, 250 pounds. The University of Cincinnati, a fullback and linebacker. Number 34 from the Cincinnati Rockers, a former Toronto Argonaut and Hamilton Tiger Cat, Dan Stelly. Representing the Cleveland Thunderbolts, an offensive and defensive lineman, 6'4", 285 pounds. From Northwest Louisiana, number 50, Willie Fears. An offensive and defensive lineman from the Cleveland Thunderbolts, 6'5", 290 pounds. A former San Francisco 49er and New York Giant. From the University of Nebraska, number 55, Kent Wells. This next gentleman was the captain of Hayden Fry's 1981 Rose Bowl team, representing the University of Iowa and the Detroit Drive, a former Chicago Bear, 6'2", 285 from the Detroit Drive, number 62, John Roach. This is his first game in the state of Iowa since his last appearance at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. Representing the Arizona Rattlers and the University of Pacific, 6'2", 275, an offensive and defensive lineman, a former Toronto Argonaut and Ottawa Rough Rider, number 65, Chris Bouch. Also representing the Arizona Rattlers from Alcorn State, 6'3", 260, an offensive and defensive lineman, Arnold Campbell. From Ashland, representing the Cleveland Thunderbolts, 6 foot, 190 pounds, a wide receiver and defensive back, a former Tampa Bay Buccaneer and London Monarch, number 82, Chris Harkness. Representing the Detroit Drive from North Dakota State, 6'3", 265 pounds, Flint Fleming, number 84. And bringing out at this time from the Dallas Texans, a wide receiver and linebacker, 6'4", 210 pounds, from Sam Houston State, number 88, Sam Moore. One of the exciting players in the Arena Football League from the Red Raiders, the Texas Tech, and the Dallas Texans, 5'3", over 135 pounds, wide receiver defensive back number 89, Tyrone Thurman. The Human Bullet. From Humboldt State, representing the Arizona Rattlers, 6'5", 260 pounds, an offensive and defensive lineman, number 98, Richard Ash. Also representing the Cleveland Thunderbolts, an alumnus of the University of Northern Iowa, unable to play tonight due to coaching commitments. Put your hands together and provide a great big Des Moines welcome for Peter Burns. Peter Burns from the University of Northern Iowa, a linebacker and a fullback. The American Conference coaches from the Cleveland Thunderbolts, Dave Winham. From the Arizona Rattlers, Pete Catella. And the head coach of the Arizona Rattlers and the American Conference team from the Memphis Southmen of the World Football League, the Dallas Cowboys of the NFL, and the head coach of the Arizona Rattlers. Welcome to Des Moines once again, Mr. Danny White. And now, let's meet the participants for the National Conference in tonight's All-Star Game. The National Conference. First of all, from the AFL champion Tampa Bay Storm and Bethune-Cookman, 6'1", 200 pounds, a wide receiver and defensive back, one of the most exciting players in the league, number 1, Stevie Thomas. From Boise State, a kicker, and also the Charlotte Rays, 5'6", 145 pounds, the league record holder for points in the season, number 3, Mike Black. From the Arena Football League champion, Tampa Bay Storm, and the University of Louisville, at quarterback, 6'1", 205 pounds, the MVP of the 1993 Arena Bowl, number 7, Jay Gruden. From the AFL champion Tampa Bay Storm at the University of Tulane, a defensive specialist, 5'10", 180 pounds, number 9, Corey Dowden. One of the real veterans of the Arena Football League from the University of South Carolina and the Orlando Predators, 6', 185 pounds, number 10, Mike Hold. From Fayetteville and the Tampa Bay Storm, 6'3", 245 pounds, fullbacker, linebacker, Andre Bowden. From the University of Missouri and the Miami Hooters, 5'10", 185 pounds, wide receiver, linebacker, Nihu Saleh, number 17. From the University of South Carolina and also the Charlotte Rays, 6'4", 205 pounds, and also the Saskatchewan Roughriders, wide receiver defensive back number 27, Ryan Buffet. From Gardner Webb and the Charlotte Rays, 5'10", 175 pounds, defensive specialist number 30, Chris Poston. From Tennessee, Chattanooga, and the Charlotte Rays, 5'11", 245 pounds, fullback linebacker, also was a member of the Birmingham Fire of the World League of American Football. A big Des Moines welcome for number 44, Junior Jackson. From northern Michigan and the Tampa Bay Storm, 6'4", 265 pounds, offensive and defensive lineman number 50, Dennis Zolke. From the University of South Carolina and also the league champion Tampa Bay Storm, 6'4", 260-pound offensive and defensive lineman, a veteran of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the LA Raiders, and San Diego Chargers. Welcome to Des Moines, number 55, Keith Browner. From the University of Maryland and the Albany Firebirds, 6'4", 270 pounds, offensive defensive lineman number 65, Mitch Suppley. From Central Florida and the Albany Firebirds, 6'3", 285 pounds, offensive defensive lineman number 77, Sylvester Bembry. From Southeast Missouri and the Miami Hooters, 5'7", 160 pounds, wide receiver, defensive back, number 82, Darrell Phelan. From Western Colorado and the Albany Firebirds, 6', 200 pounds, wide receiver, defensive back, number 84, Fred Gale. From Washington State University in the Charlotte Rage, 6'3", 260 pounds, an offensive and defensive lineman, formerly of the Calgary team, the Calgary Stampeders, number 88, Marlon Brown. From Ferris State and the Charlotte Rays, 5'8", 170 pounds, wide receiver, defensive back from the Miami Dolphins and Saskatchewan Roughriders. Welcome to Des Moines, number 89, Andre Johnson. From the Missouri Tigers and the Tampa Bay Storm, 6'2", 280 pounds, offensive defensive lineman, Lee Johnson, number 98. The assistant coaches for the National Conference, Gus Kay and Dietrich Wise. The head coach is a veteran of the British Columbia Lions, the Calgary Stampeders, and the coach of the Arena Football League champions. Welcome to Des Moines from the Tampa Bay Storm, Larry Koharich. To sing America the Beautiful prior to tonight's All-Star game, we'd like to welcome the Soundstage Quartet. The Soundstage Quartet are part of the Pride of Iowa Barbershop Chorus. We ask that you rise at this time for the singing of America the Beautiful. We'd like to welcome our National Guard Color Guard who are with us this evening from Boone, Iowa. We'd like to thank all of the members of the National Guard for helping to build levees and doing so many things that helped us recover from the great flood of 1993 in the state of Iowa.
Purple mountain majesty. God shed his grace on thee, and from thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea, from sea to shining sea. America, America, America.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Sound Seeds Quartet. And thanks to the 2nd Brigade, 34th Infantry from Boone, Iowa, for being tonight's color guard. Ladies and gentlemen, time for our coin toss. Let's tell you about who is here for our coin toss tonight. Welcome to James Kessler, representing the Iowa Guard, and their fine efforts this summer with the great flood of 1993. And we also have Alan Schwab, who is owner of the Charlotte Rage, representing the owners of the Arena Football League, who voted to place the All-Star game here in Des Moines. So welcome to Alan Schwab. And also out for the coin toss is the grandfather of arena football, Mr. Pat Foster from Iowa City. It was Pat's idea to stage the arena football game here tonight, being played on behalf of flood relief. Your officials for tonight's game are Carl Pagnelli Sr., the referee, Darrell Leftwich is the head lineman, James Lapatina is the back judge, and Mike Frierking is your umpire. American Airlines, with service to over 360 cities worldwide, salutes arena football in Iowa. American Airlines, the official airlines of the first Arena Football All-Star Game. American Airlines, something special in the air.
The National Conference will receive as we get ready for the kickoff in this second arena ball game in Veterans Memorial Auditorium in Des Moines. And Mike, I think quite a good crowd has gathered.
Yes, indeed. You know, just a short fuse to get this game underway. Less than 3 weeks, actually, the idea of Pat Foster and his son Jim to put together an all-star game. And they just had 3 weeks to go and knock in doors and open up the ticket window. And I'm pretty impressed with the pretty good house on hand at Veterans Memorial Auditorium here in Des Moines.
And, of course, Jim Foster has stated many times that the attendance to this game would be another factor in determining whether Des Moines and Iowa receive an arena football franchise. Remember, one of the outstanding and exciting attributes of this game is that on the kickoff, it very often goes off the net, and, of course, it is to be returned off the net. You cannot take a touchback in this league.
That's right. There is no such thing as a touchback. As a matter of fact, there's no such thing as a punt. So on long yardage situations, 4th down or thereabouts, you will see a field goal from just about, or a field goal attempt from just about any place on the field. Now, you're absolutely right. You will see it played off the net, and that gives the opposition, the defenders, time to get underneath the football, and all hay breaks loose right after that.
Luis Zendejas, who is here in the rumble under the roof with the Arizona Rattlers to kick off. Stevie Thomas is deep. We take a quick review of the rules.
Couple of the rules adjustments that we have for those accustomed to 100-yard football. This is the 50-yard indoor war. We're just about set for action. Larry Morgan, you go get him.
Thomas led the league in touchdowns with 23. However, the kick is short, and instead it is fielded by Corey Dowden. Dowden across the 15 and belted down at the 20-yard line. And so the National Conference will set up offensively first, following the return by Stevie Thomas of the Tampa Bay Storm. And, of course, they are the Arena Football League champions. At the 20-yard line on this 50-yard indoor war, first down for the National Conference.
One other factor we have to keep in mind, and Howard Balzer, you've worked a lot of games as well. The clock continues to run, doesn't it?
It certainly runs quickly. Jay Gruden out of the University of Louisville, where he set so many records, is a quarterback. And in no surprise, he throws on the first play to Stevie Thomas. He's going to get it. 30-yarder by the Tampa Bay Storm duo of Jay Gruden and Stevie Thomas. And it takes less than 40 seconds for the National Conference to get on the board.
There we take a look at it. Thomas on the receiving end. He juked this way, went that way, and just like that, you got a 30-yard touchdown. First play from scrimmage, and this one is underway at Vetch.
And just like that, Black comes on to attempt the point after for the National Conference. He kicks out of the hold of Mike Holt, and the kick is good. And so, 38 seconds into the ballgame, we have a score, a touchdown and an extra point. The National Conference on the board, leading by a count of 7-0.
Certainly impressive, the one-play touchdown drive to get things underway. You know, we had 82 points scored in the title game last week, so a lot of points go on the board. Now you see the drill. It is Gruden going deep to Stevie Thomas, and he puts it in gear, and just like that, you got a 7-0 ball game as the National Conference takes the lead in this one.
And now Mike Black out of the Charlotte Rage will do the kicking off for the National Conference. And back deep for the American Conference, number 89 is Tyrone Thurman. He is the smallest player on the All-Star team, 5'3", 135 pounds. But this guy is one of the great returners in the league from the Dallas Texans out of Texas Tech. 13:54 left to play in the first quarter. And again, the clock runs even as they set up the extra point. So though the touchdown was scored at 14:22, 38 seconds, the extra point came at 13:54. And now Mike Black out of Boise State, 5'6", 145-pounder, who kicked a league record 112 points this year, prepares to kick off. And the American Conference sees if they can counter every bit as quickly. Thurman will try to play it off the net. And he has a lot of company. He's trying to get out of the end zone. And he will be pulled down after he gets to about the 8-yard line. From behind, the tackle is made by Corey Dowden. And now the American Conference will take over.
Tyrone Thurman, if not the quickest player in the league, is certainly the most exciting. He's just 5'3" and 135, and he'll disco dance his way out of the end zone. He makes something out of nothing right here because he could have been nailed in the end zone, but look at him go. He gets underneath tackles, Larry.
Todd Hamill from the Dallas Texans, the starting quarterback for the American Conference, and he throws along the near sideline to George LaFrance, one of the league's all-time great receivers. LaFrance covered on the play very closely by Chris Poston. And he gets to the 15-yard line, so it will be a gain on the play of 8 yards and bring up a 2nd down and 2. LaFrance from the Detroit Drive, you're going to see on the receiving end of this pass, is just incredible. Has run in receptions for more than 3,000 yards in his career. Hamill fakes, will go long. It is incomplete, looking for Tyrone Thurman, and he was covered on the play by Corey Dowden.
He put it up high enough to hope that Thurman could get underneath it, and the foot race was underway, trying to do some hand-to-hand combat with the defender aside, Corey Dowden. Dowden's going to have his hands full if he's man-on-man coverage with Thurman.
So third and a short 2 on 2nd and 2 of the American Conference, and Coach Danny White choosing to go long. Now let's see if they will keep it on the ground on this 3rd down. Now bear in mind, no punting in this league, Mike, so you have to go for a field goal if you think you can't make a 1st down.
And this is well within the range of Luis Zendejas.
Sam Moore is in motion, and he catches the pass across the 20 for a 1st and 10 for the American Conference. Sam Moore from the Dallas Texans out of Sam Houston State during the regular season hauled in 47 passes, and it's a 1st down for the American Conference.
1st down placement will be at the 15-yard line. Everything would have to be doubled. This would be about the 30-yard line in your own territory. And a lot of substitutions in this one. Both coaches, Larry Kuharich and Danny White, anticipate bringing in a lot of different players.
Of course, it was a catch good enough for a first down. The penalty disallowed. So now it's 4th down and 2. Play nullified by the motion penalty. And so now the long attempt by Luis Zendejas, and it will be 2. Whoa! What a kick by Luis Zendejas as he nails it from a long distance. And the American Conference is on the board from 51 yards out.
They're calling it 51 yards. That was Luis Zendejas. That's well within his range. He had a half dozen 50-yard plus field goals this year. And here comes another one, 51 away. And just barely.
Mike, we talk about action and high scoring. How's this? So far, less than 4 minutes have been played, and 10 points are on the board already.
I'll mention again that the title game last week saw 82 points scored, 51-31. The Tampa Bay Storm beats the Detroit Drive, that is, for the 1993 championship. Storm with their second title in 3 seasons. Drive looking for a 5th Arena Bowl championship in 6 years, and when the dust settles, 83 points went up on the board. At this hour, 10 points are up on the board in the first 4 minutes and 32 seconds of the football game. Not bad.
Howard Balzer, I knew you expected action. Did you expect it this quick?
No, I really didn't. Although I wasn't surprised at the quick hit to Stevie Thomas. You knew Gruden was going to throw to him, but here we are not even 4 minutes into the first quarter, and we have 10 points on the board already.
And here's Thomas, who caught the touchdown toss back in the end zone again as Zendejas approaches. His last kick was shallow, and this kick is way shallow because it hits the top. Now, Howard, you've seen a lot of arena football games. Do you see that happen very often?
Well, actually, normally, because of the scoreboards in most arenas are a lot lower. And so what you'll see the kickers do is they kick off on the far end of the goal line, so they avoid the scoreboard. Here, what Zendejas was doing, figuring since this scoreboard is so high, he could kick it from the middle. Well, he got it up too high, and of course the ball comes straight down to the 20-yard line, which gives the National Conference excellent field position.
Jay Gruden now at quarterback, and it's a running play to Andre Bowden, and Bowden with good daylight, first down and 20 more, as he carries the ball inside the 15-yard line and down to the 13. I heard you saying before the game, Howard, the running game is maybe underrated in arena football.
It really is. This game, of course, developed as a passing game, but as the game has developed and evolved, the teams that do well are the teams that run the ball the best. And Bowden, one of the best fullbacks in the league, rushes the ball very well, and a weakness of the American Conference is the best fullbacks in that conference aren't here, and so that could be a factor.
First down at the 14, and it's another running play to Bowden, and the former Fayetteville College player from the Tampa Bay Storm. Very little running room that time. Off the bottom of the stack for the American Conference, credited with the tackle, is Flint Fleming from the Detroit Drive.
Yep, in the preseason or pregame drills, at least, Zendejas put a couple field goal placements off the speakers hanging from the rafters here at Betts Auditorium. Let's take a look on the second straight handoff, going up the middle to Andre Bowden. Big guy at 6'3" and 245. Don't get in his way.
Second and 8 from the 13. Quick hitter over the middle, and it is incomplete. The slant in for Stevie Thomas. The Storm duo of Gruden and Thomas that had so much success in the regular season, and that time, ball thrown just a little bit hard. Good coverage on the play.
Good coverage by Richard Carey there. Carey, of course, missed the tackle on the earlier touchdown, but good coverage there. Bowden had 15 rushing touchdowns during the regular season. Roderick Sargent of Detroit set a league record with 20, so that gives you an idea of how successful they were running the ball.
So now it's 3rd down and 7 from the 13 for the National Conference. They lead by a score of 7-3. 9:33 to go in the first quarter. The pass is thrown to the end zone, and it is incomplete. I'm not sure if Sylvester Bembury was the intended receiver.
I believe that was a tackle-eligible play. They sided on one side of the football, and you'll see Bembury just short of the goal line and a bit above him. Bembury's a big guy, 6'3", 285, and he would have to leave the ground to bring that one down.
Tampa Bay uses that play a lot with Keith Browner, who, of course, isn't in the game right now. Bembury not too agile out there as Keith Browner is.
Mike Black with a 29-yard field goal attempt, trying to put his team up further than before they are, and the lead grows to 7 as Black nails the 29-yard field goal. So at the 8:52 mark in this first quarter, we have already seen a touchdown and a pair of field goals as Mike will get another look at it.
Yep, he'll nail it, and it's true, and you add the 8 yards onto that, and you've got a 28-yard field goal, and just like that, the lead goes back up to a 7-point lead at 10-3. Now, the field goal kickers we mentioned earlier could be the factor. Luis Zendejas going for the American Conference Stars, Mike Black going for the Nationals, and both can hit from deep. And once again, no punts. So on the 4th and long situation, you will see the field goal attempt. You'd rather go for 6, but you see the 3 attempt all the time.
George LaFrance will be back deep for the American Conference as you see Mike Black tee it up. And Howard Balzer, certainly George LaFrance is one of the legendary players in this league.
Yeah, he has been here almost from the beginning. Didn't miss a year because of knee surgery, but he's been a consistent guy again. Comes back year after year. Love of the game is the only way you can really describe it. And he just loves playing arena football.
Here's the approach by Black. He got it into the net last time, and he does so again. LaFrance right up the middle, 10, 15, and he's tipped up from behind.
Boy, does he move.
With the ankle tackle, Andre Johnson from the Charlotte Rage. National 10, American Conference 3. We get another look at the kickoff return.
He'll take it off the screen and fields it cleanly, and he'll just flat out run past his coverage. You see Richard Carey in front of him. George LaFrance, certainly one of the most exciting ball players in the Arena Football League. He surpassed, you mentioned, 3,000 yards and also 200 career receptions.
19-yard return. Now Jay Gruden takes over at quarterback. Thurman in motion. The pass intended for LaFrance along the near sideline, and it's incomplete. Broken up nicely by Corey Dowden. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10.
Larry, you also notice that the man in motion is allowed to rainbow to the line of scrimmage. He does not have to move away from the line of scrimmage at the snap. He can move to it. Of course, he cannot be across it. But that does one thing. It gives him a head of steam heading upfield. And that also a factor that makes this an offensive game more than anything else.
The center for the American Conference is John Relk out of the University of Iowa. We'll have a chance to visit with him at halftime. It's a running play to Dan Sellers, sweeps the near side, runs into Ryan Bethea, and Bethea nails him at the 22-yard line, short of a 1st down. It'll bring up a 3rd down play. Howard Balzer from Pro Football Weekly joining us on part of the commentary. And Howard, you talked about the talent level in this league just continuing to grow. I think already we're seeing examples of that.
We really are. Here the running play with Sellers, who I mentioned earlier isn't one of the better fullbacks in the league, but I think the National Conference wasn't expecting that play there, and Sellers did a good job picking up a lot of yardage. I'm kind of surprised that Todd Hamill was the starter at quarterback from the Dallas Texans, but I'm sure we'll see Paul Justin pretty soon.
Justin played very well here in the preseason. Here's Hamill with good protection, and the pass is almost picked off by Keith Browner. Browner, who scored 2 touchdowns in the Arena Bowl game last week, had it, and I think he had visions of the end zone, Mike, but he forgot to hang on to the football.
Boy, he'd like to have that one back again. He's looking at his hand stand there. It was right there. It was right there. Yep. In and out of the hand. Most of the time, a quarterback will look at a receiver whom he has hit in the hands and said, what else have I got to do? But this time it hits the defender in the hands. What else you got to do?
Well, there's no complaints from Todd Hamill, whose team now faces a 4th and 2, and they are going to go for it. Again, you can't punt. Either you kick a field goal or you try to make, in this case, the 2 yards for the 1st down. In the backfield is Dan Sellers. Hamill with a great pressure is going to be nailed by Marlon Brown. The ball squirts loose. However, the play is blown dead. Marlon Brown came in untouched, Howard.
Yeah, I would say that someone missed the block there. Todd Hamill never had a prayer. In fact, the left tackle on that play for the American Conference, number 84, Flint Fleming, didn't even try to block him at all. He was looking inside, which allowed Marlon Brown to come in uncontested on Todd Hamill.
So the sack by Marlon Brown gives the National Conference the football at the 14-yard line of the American Conference.
You know, Larry, that's all the rush any quarterback wants to see. And, you know, you got to figure with these 2 teams just together for a couple days, you're going to miss blocking assignments, the technicalities, the dynamics of line play. And that's exactly what happened.
Jay Gruden takes the snap, looking for the end zone on 1st down, but the Protection breaks down. He's forced to scramble. Throws on the run. Touchdown to Stevie Thomas. Thomas broke the pattern, came back on the ball, and has his second touchdown grab of this first quarter. And the National Conference goes to a 16-3 lead. And that combination, Mike, you could tell they've been playing together for a while.
Yes, indeed, and that's 3 straight possessions in which the National Conference Stars have scored a touchdown, a field goal, and yet another touchdown. This is the second reception for Stevie Thomas. Let's take a look at it. He'll go upfield, and in pursuit, as you see Gruden get rid of it, and in the back of the end zone, just like that. And the 14-yard touchdown pass, the conversion, and we've got a 14-point ball game still with plenty of time left in the first quarter. My goodness, 20 points up on the board in the first 9 minutes, 45 seconds of action.
And Mike Black has already scored 5 points for the National Conference on 2 extra points and a field goal. 2 touchdown passes. Jay Gruden to Stevie Thomas. Both play for the Tampa Bay Storm, the Arena Bowl champs. And that has given the National Conference a 17-3 lead. But 14 points is a mere eyelash of a lead in this league.
You're absolutely right. You know, head coach Larry Kuharich cannot be blamed for going with the talent that he has out on the field. As a matter of fact, same for Danny White. Danny White started with more Arizona Rattlers in the starting lineup. Why? Because he knows the players. He can tell them what to do. Ditto for Larry Kuharich. No complaint that he's starting his big guys.
Gruden has now completed 2 passes and 4 tries, both for touchdowns, both to Thomas, a 30-yarder and a 14-yarder. So now the American Conference tries to recover from a quick start by the National Conference. Black's going to be worn out already. This is the 5th time he's kicked the football, and this time he kicks it under the upright, and it rolls inside a big helmet, which is located at the north end of Veterans Auditorium, so that will be, in essence, the only time, Mike, you don't see a kickoff returned in this league.
That's right. Generally, it's designed to get a run back on every kick. That's why you have the net, and you can play it off the net. And I'm a little surprised that Black didn't put one high off the net again, but he might be getting tired. You're right.
And so now the ball at the 5-yard line, and that's where the American Conference will take over. Actually, that's a very strategically placed kick if you can do that.
Yes.
And the defense gets to take over at the opponent's 5-yard line. Great start. Todd Hamill at the controls out of the Dallas Texans is back, and it's deflected right in his face by Marlon Brown. Well, no question, this guy's been the defensive player of the game thus far, Mike, with a sack and a deflection already.
Yeah, Marlon Brown has been all over this football field, and that time he timed his leap from that defensive end position. He'll be scurrying along the line of scrimmage. There he goes. Kind of a volleyball push.
He has pro football experience with Calgary in 1991, went to Washington State. Marlon Brown, big defensive factor thus far. Todd Hamill tries to get something going for Danny White's American Conference football team. Thurman in motion. Hamill flips it to the right side to Flint Fleming. Fleming is cut down at the 9-yard line. Coming in to knock him down, Ryan Bethea.
Well, that's letting the guy know he's in the football game, huh?
Well, I guess.
Take a look at it. Flint Fleming on the receiving end. He will flirt with the boards on that side, but coming up to put the hammer on him is Ryan Bethea out of South Carolina.
And so it is a 3rd down and 6 call coming up for Todd Hamill and his American Conference team, trailing 17-3 with 3:40 left to play in the first quarter. Again, Thurman in motion. This time it is the pitch. Trying to turn the corner, Flint Fleming, and he is going to be nailed at the 12-yard line. And the play will be about 3 yards short of a 1st and 10. So a decision comes up for the American Conference team right here. First, let's get a look at the replay.
Second call for Flint Fleming since coming into the game. On that particular play, all the speed was loaded up to the left side of the field. Both George LaFrance and the little guy, Thurman, were on their way upfield, and everybody was thinking a deep pass. Not so. They got it to hand off.
Zendejas, who kicked a 51-yard field goal his last time out, will now be attempting a 53-yard field goal. Hamill to hold. There's the spot. It was deflected at the line of scrimmage. Dowden picks it up at the 10-yard line and looks for some running room. He's down inside his 5, and he is banged hard against the board at the 11-yard line. You talk about hitting those padded boards, but it happened right in front of you.
Right below us, that was Arnold Campbell to deliver the hurt on one Corey Dowden, who fields it like a center fielder. Disco dances this away, decides to do the turn that away, and now you're going to see number 77 come in from the outside of the screen, Carl.
Wow, that's Aaron Campbell with the hit from the Arizona Rattlers. And Danny White has loaded his team with Arizona Rattlers. There are 19 players on the American Conference, 6 of them from the Rattlers.
Isn't that
the
a
National
high-sticking call? Isn't that into the board?
Dressed in blue. Here's a pass complete along the near boards, and running with it is Keith Browner, and he has all kinds of room. Browner across the 25 to the 20, and he's out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Keith Browner from Southern Cal, 6 years of professional football experience in the NFL, with the Buccaneers, Raiders, and Chargers. And Mike, this guy's an athlete.
Yes, he is. Good bloodlines with 3 brothers. Joey Browner, of course, Ross Browner. You remember from NFL days, but 3 brothers played in the NFL. And he has made his mark, Keith Browner has, in this, the Arena Football League.
National Conference, a 17-3 lead in the ball, 21 yards from Pager. Again, it is Jay Gruden at quarterback. Gruden has great protection, and the pass is dropped by Ryan Bethea. A penalty marker is down. Flag is down, and referee Carl Panandelli Sr. will indicate the call. Let's see if we can pick it up.
This is the second play in this game where Jay Gruden has hit the guy where he's supposed to hit him. Once in the hands, once in the shoulder pads, and my goodness, they didn't hang on. What else has the guy got to do? Let's take a look.
Gruden hit after he delivers the ball. Let's see if that'll be the call or if it'll go the other way. You know, also, the other thing you think about is the protection was so great, holding would be a good guess, and I see that's what the call will be. So, remember I said it was great protection, and it was. Somebody held. So the ball spotted back to the 21-yard line, and it will be a first down and 18-yard call because that's an 8-yard penalty. Jay Gruden, some brilliant numbers. This season completed 60% of his passes, threw for better than 2,500 yards, and 41 touchdowns. Quick hitter on the near sideline to Ryan Bethea. And he is stopped as he gets across midfield and brought down in the vicinity of the 23-yard line by Michael Clark, number 14, out of Oklahoma State and the Detroit Drive. You're looking at the National Conference, dressed in blue, and of course each team is wearing the helmet they wear during the regular season.
Well, we're in the final 50 seconds of the first quarter. You see the hit on Bethea into the board. Yep. Not as much velocity as we saw a little bit earlier with Arnold Campbell delivering the hurt.
2nd and 12 to the 23. Gruden again with good protection. Penalty marker is thrown, and the pass is incomplete. The intended receiver, Ryan Bethea, covered by Garland Rivers, the former first-team All-American from Michigan, who plays for the Arizona Rattlers. And there you look at Garland Rivers right there. But another hold has been called against the National Conference.
This is unusual to see this much, or these many penalties, that many yards marked off because...
Number 65, second down, 8-yard penalty.
The guilty party was number 55, Keith Browner.
As in the 100-yard game, there's holding on every play, and that's the same thing when you have the rumble under the roof. The 50-yard game is just when you decide to call it or not.
And so this will be a second down and long call. Second down and 20 yards to go. Gruden with a great arm. This time protection breaks down. He's in trouble. Forced to run. Throws on the run. Just trying to dump the football. He had to because there was great pressure put on by number 65, Chris Bouchy, and also for the American Conference, quick on the charge was number 84, Mark Fleming.
Another touch to this football game that Jim Foster thought up a while back is that the foul balls into the stands, if you will, are kept by the fans.
And that's the end of the first quarter. And the action has been fast and furious. typical of the Arena Football League. The score, the National Conference 17, the American Conference 3. Back with second quarter action in just a moment. Second quarter underway. Gruner again throws under pressure. The pass to the near sideline is incomplete. Larry Morgan along with Mike Newell and also Howard Balzer from Pro Football Weekly. We should explain the reason that Howard comes and goes. He's also working with WHO Radio with Jim Zabel. And Howard, this may be a unique combination, doing color analysis on both radio and TV at the same time.
That's right. It's not even a simulcast. So I guess this is the night of first. So maybe we've got a first there also.
I want to know who Howard's agent is. How do you get work like that? My goodness.
So it's all for the benefit of flood relief.
Mike Black with a long field goal attempt, trying to give his team a 17-point lead. That's the National Conference. Kick is down. It is up. It is high enough. However, it is wide to the left. And remember, the ball's in play off the net. So the field goal attempt fails. And the American Conference, thus far, Howard, unable to get anything underway, really.
And they're really having a lot of problems. Todd Hamill has been under pressure throughout the first half. The offensive line is having a little trouble with the quick National Conference players. Plus, they don't really have a pure fullback. We were able to see on one National Conference drive that Andre Bowden broke off some big runs, and they don't really have a natural fullback who's in there, and I think that's hurting their offense as well. I'm surprised we haven't seen Paul Justin yet. He's still on the bench. I figured, well, if he started Hamill, that he'll play Paul Justin in the second quarter, but Danny White has decided to go with Hamill. Maybe he'll play Justin in the second half.
And Justin, by the way, was listed as the starter, so apparently a last-minute decision by Danny White. And, of course, just one substitution allowed per quarter in arena football. So Todd Hamill, who's had his troubles thus far from the Dallas Texans of the AFL, throws it on first down. It is complete to Tyrone Thurman, but not a very long gain. He gets up to the 7-yard line, and that is the end of the line for the 5'3", 135-pounder. Is he the smallest guy in the league?
Yeah, absolutely. And that 5'3", I think, is only in his platform shoes. But, Corey Dowden made a great tackle on that play because we saw that one kickoff earlier where Tyrone Thurman, how elusive he is, and a great kick returner, set all kinds of records in the league. And it's amazing. Look at him. This guy plays football. But when you see him without his uniform, you're just amazed.
LaFrance and Thurman come wide to the right of quarterback Todd Hamill, who pump fake, throws down the right side, looking for Thurman, and leads him just a little bit too far. Chris Poston covering.
George LaFrance wide open in the middle of the field, but I think Todd Hamill's having a little problem seeing the middle of the field.
In the first quarter, 4 possessions for the National Conference Stars. They scored in 3 of 4. 3 possessions for the American Conference Stars. They scored in 1. And 20 points up on the board in the first quarter. A 17-3 ball game. The Nationals lead the American Conference Stars just trying to get something going at this hour, Larry.
3rd and 4 from the 8-yard line for the American Conference, coached by Danny White, the former Dallas Cowboy quarterback, whose team came within 2 seconds of getting into the Arena Bowl this year at Arizona. Quick hitter over the middle, and it is struck.
I don't even think he had a chance to catch that. The ball skipped on the turf a little bit first, I think. Another guy we haven't seen in the American Conference is Gary Mullen, a guy who's played in the league ever since its inception, and he's averaged 1 touchdown for every 3.3 receptions that he makes. A big play player, but so far we haven't seen him. Maybe Danny White's saving these guys to give that, maybe he's giving that National Conference a false sense of security.
Well, that could be, because as we've talked about so many times in arena football, 14 points is nothing. This will be about as long a field goal as you can get in this league. The 50-yard field, this would be a 49-yard effort plus the end zone, so this will be a 59-yard effort by Luis Zendejas. Now remember, he kicked a 51-yarder earlier in this game, but it is a fake. It is Hamill on the run. He's got the first down. There's 20 more to the 25, to the 20. Brought down at the 17-yard line. The fake gets the American Conference out of the hole, and Mike gives them a legitimate scoring opportunity.
Good call. Just a heads-up call. That's Todd Hamill doing the holding here. He's going to pick it up at the 49, and he'll go that way in a real hurry. Todd Hamill upfield along the sideline. The game will take it to the 18-yard line. And 1st and 10 in excellent field position. Of course, you're always in good field position, but this is the first down the American Conference needed. We've called this a big play offense, and indeed we're seeing that today.
Kent Wells out of Nebraska. It's better. The pitch goes to Dan Sellers, and Sellers short yardage to the 15-yard line. Gain on the play, approximately 3, and they'll set up a 2nd and 7 at the 15.
That one play was their big offensive production. As we get the first quarter stats, it shows the National Conference domination. 88 total yards to only 15 for the Americans. 4 first downs for the National Conference, none for the American Conference. So that fake produced about 27 yards and was their big play of the entire first half.
Chris Harkness has come in for the American Conference at a wide receiver spot, replacing Sam Moore. 2nd down and 8 at the 16-yard line. The American Conference in white uniforms, trimmed in red. Hamill looking for LaFrance on the right side, and the pass is incomplete with Corey Dowden covering.
Todd Hamill, far from sharp tonight, bounced another pass. He's been throwing short on with some very good teams and isn't accustomed to having the ball bounce in front of him.
Here's the speed on the right side of the field. Both LaFrance and Thurman are on the same side of the field. Watch out.
Hamill is back, protection breaks down, runs away from one would-be tackler, throws back to the other side of the field looking for Harkness. And the pass is batted away. A terrific defensive play by Darryl Philon. He's only 5'7", 160 pounds, and he and Corey Dowden were both back there.
Plenty of heavy traffic now. Had he been able to throw the ball before taking the extra 3 or 4 steps, that would have been a touchdown because both LaFrance and Thurman did have daylight. The defense had a chance to catch up.
And Philon and Dowden both there to provide some excellent coverage. Zendeja last time faked a field goal. Now he's a lot closer, which is really a chip shot in the Arena League. This will be a 34-yard effort out of the hole by Todd Hamill. Zendejas has kicked with the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the NFL, has the ball down, and the kick is right through the upright. And the AFC has scored their 2nd field goal in the ballgame. So far, their only score coming off the foot of Luis and Zendejas, and it makes it a 17-6 ball game with 8 minutes and 41 seconds left to play in the first half. And we'll return with more action from this rumble under the roof right after this. The last time arena football was here, Peter Burns out of the University of Northern Iowa was trying to make the Cleveland Thunderbolt. He did. He played the season. In fact, earned All-Star recognition. He's with us. We'll talk to him momentarily. Here's a kickoff return by Darryl Philon. He may go. He's at the 20, catches back to the 15 to the 10, and he's ridden down inside the 10-yard line. What a return by Darryl Philon out of the Miami Hooters, the 5'7", 160-pounder who played collegiately at Southeast Missouri, number 82. Mike, that was something else.
Boy, was it. We'll take a look at it now. He'll field it on the hop, gets that center fielder. Bounce, he hits the turf, and now he'll look to the left but go right. That draws a bit of the defense to the right side of the field, and the rest, as they say, is history because one more block and he would have been in.
First and goal at the 7 for Jay Gruden and the National Conference All-Stars. It's a running play to Andre Bowden inside the 5, down to the 3. Tackled by Dan Sellers. Well, Peter Burns, welcome.
Well, thank you.
You earned All-Star recognition, but an injury is keeping you out of the game. What's the injury?
Yes, I did. I separated my AC joint. It's a 2nd-degree separation, and it's still a little tender.
Does it hurt not to be out there tonight?
Yeah, yes, it does, you know.
Good opportunity for you, Pete. Coming out of the University of Northern Iowa, All-American honors there as a linebacker for Terry Allen, but you had to carry the football this year. We'll pick it up in a moment.
Here's the delay, and running with the football is Andre Bowden, and Bowden is into the end zone for the touchdown. And the National Conference builds their lead to 23-6 on the running play by Andre Bowden. Mike, another one.
Bowden does the tap dance as he heads up the middle. It'll be listed as a 4-yard touchdown run. Bowden will take the handoff, does the stutter step here, looks left and will have to cut marginally to the right. Yeah, just there.
Mike Black has not missed a field goal or an extra point so far, and that continues to be the case. And so we have timeout with 7:02 left to play in the first half. Plenty of action in this first All-Star game in the Arena Football League. And the score, NFC 24, AFC 6. We're back in a moment. Inside the 5-yard line, And it's an old story for the American Conference, Peter, and I know that since Cleveland's in the American Conference, that's going to be where your emotions lie, and then again, they're starting deep in their own territory.
Yes, it is. I got a couple of my players right now playing out there, and I'll tell you this, the game isn't over yet.
No.
The game isn't over yet.
What's the biggest lead you saw blown in the league this year in the games that you were involved in?
Well, actually, we had a lead, 17 points with a minute and 15 seconds left in the game, and we ended up losing the game against Dallas Texans, and they came to our house playing the game. So it's an exciting league, and we still got another half to play yet.
That is the AFL, isn't it, Mike?
Long way to go.
Todd Hamill takes the snap, throws to the near sideline, pass is caught by Sam Moore, and Moore is wrestled down almost immediately by Ryan Bethea. Play gains approximately 5 out to near the 8-yard line. It'll bring up second down. And let's check it. Actually, maybe closer to 4 yards. It'll bring up second down at about 6.
He tries to, after the reception, try to do the stutter step to get around Bethea, but no, Bethea was not going to be fooled. Peter Burns is up on the coaching staff at the University of Northern Iowa now, finishing up some class work and working with Terry Allen and the Northern Iowa Panthers. How good they're going to be, Pete?
Well, you know, we're looking forward to another exciting year. We're going to go for our 4th straight Gateway Conference title, and
pass caught by Flint Fleming, but he loses yardage on the reception. Terrific defense being played by the Blue Flag National Conference. That was Junior Jackson with a big stop. Mike, let's get another look.
Take a look at the drop back here. This is Gruden looking left. He finds Flint Fleming. It's tough to get a completion and then negative yardage. Line of scrimmage will be marked at the 3 forward progress. Jackson makes sure he got no further. Pretty good coverage for Junior.
So it's 3rd and 10 at the 3-yard line for the American Conference, trailing 24-6. Johnson made that big defensive play, by the way. Jackson from the Charlotte Rage. Hamill has it batted down by Browner. Keith Browner right at his face. It now becomes 4th down, 10 yards to go for the American Conference at their own 3-yard line. Again, no punt, either a field goal, a fake, or you try to get the first down. And, Peter, this is not an easy decision for anybody to make.
No, it isn't right now. You know, we just saw a fake field goal just a little minute ago, but, you know, the American League looking to get some points on the board, so let's see what happens here.
It's going to be about 55 yards at the placement. You had 10 on the other end, and you got a 65-yard attempt for Luis Zendejas.
Zendejas really needs to nail this one a long way, and it's going to come up short and will be returned. On the return is Gales, one of the best in the league. Quickly across the 15 and out to the 17-yard line is Fred Gales. Mike, you were asking Peter about the UNI Panthers. I want to get the lowdown now. What kind of a year you look for, Peter?
Oh, well, you know, the UNI Panthers changed their offense a little bit this year, so, you know, we're going to a little 2 tight end, no back offense. Terry Allen will be throwing the ball a little bit more. We got a good quarterback, and looking forward to another great season.
The National Conference with the ball to the 17-yard line. 1st and 10 following the return by Fred Gales.
This is the 6th possession of the football game for the National Conference. They have scored in 5.
Bethea wide left. Gruder's looking for him on 1st down. Bethea makes the grab, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown for the National Conference. Ryan Bethea from the Charlotte Rage out of South Carolina scored. And now it is a 30-6 lead by the National Conference.
Take a look at it. Yep, he shook loose of the defender, Garland Rivers. And the run through the wall into the end zone. 3rd touchdown pass for Jay Gruden in this one. Take a look at it from another angle. From ground level. He had all the time he needed to get it up and to get underneath it. Ryan Bethea comes back for the ball.
And here's the busiest guy in the place now, Mike Black, attempting a point after. He already has 6 kick points tonight, and you can make it 7. And so, with 3:13 left in the first half, it is the NFC 31, the AFC 6. The American Conference tries to get something going when we return right after these messages. Black kicking off, and he duplicates the feat of Luis Zendejas, Mike Newell. He kicks it off the scoreboard.
Hey, Mike Black says, you're not going to get all the applause, Luis Zendejas. I can do that, too. And he kicks from the goal line, puts it off the scoreboard upstairs, and it drops down to the 20, and we've got a 1st and 10 going the other way, American Conference.
At the 20-yard line, Todd Hamill, the quarterback, this year completed 48% of his passes for nearly 2,300 yards, 39 touchdown passes for Hamill, but none thus far tonight. On the other hand, his counterpart, Jay Gruden, has thrown 3 touchdowns already. LaFrance in motion. The play goes to the other side, though. The pass is caught by Chris Hartnett, and he immediately pays the price as he is upended by Andre Johnson.
Yep, he'll get upended here by Johnson. And plenty of time to deliver here for Todd Hamill. Oop. That's got to hurt.
Gain of 8, 2nd down and 2 yards to go for the AFC. 2.5 minutes left in the second quarter. They trail 31-6. Hamill's gone all the way at quarterback. Paul Justin expected to start. He has not. LaFrance is again in motion. This time looking for LaFrance is Hamill, and it is broken up by Corey Dowden. Well, Peter, Dowden got beat on the first play of the ball game, and it's been a big defensive factor ever since.
Yes, he has. He's the type of player that I played against him this year, and he's the type of player that doesn't want to get beat once, Only once.
I guess not.
Yep, foul ball goes free over the boards, and under arena football rules, the fan gets to keep it. Pretty nice little souvenir, isn't it?
And we have a penalty marker down, and the referee, Carl Paganelli Sr., indicates the hold called on the American Conference. Thus far, we've only seen penalties called on the offense, and I believe they've all been called on the American Conference, Mike. Is that correct?
To this point, yes. Back-to-back holding calls in the first quarter.
So now it's 2nd and 11 from their own 19. Hamill drops straight back, and the pass is too tall for Chris Hartnett. So actually, it wasn't too tall. It was catchable. He just couldn't hang on.
That's not like Chris Hartnett. He's a teammate of mine, and he's usually very sure-handed.
Peter, this year you had to carry the football. You're mostly used to working on the defensive side of the football, but they turned you into a fullback as well because everybody goes 2 ways. How'd you like it?
Exactly. The indoor war, Ironman football, you go both ways. I enjoyed running the ball, and it took a little change to see where the holes are, and but I ended up running the ball a lot this year.
3rd and 11 from the 19. Hamill from the front. First down.
George LaFrance, one of the premier players in arena football history. In 7 years, he has passed the 3,000-yard mark in receptions, the 200 reception mark as of this year. LaFrance out of Baker College in Kansas.
Baldwin City, Kansas, in fact. Did you know that?
You would know that, wouldn't you?
Being a native Kansas.
Yes.
Flag thrown on the play. We haven't had a defensive penalty called thus far. We might be seeing one right here, though.
Penalty is declined. First down.
The penalty play.
So it was a penalty against the defense. First defensive penalty of the game declined. And the American Conference without a touchdown yet. But Peter Burns from the Cleveland Thunderbolts, who's guesting with us tonight in the booth because he's hurt and can't play in this All-Star game, hopes this will be their first opportunity.
Hope so.
Thurman goes wide left, LaFrance. Now Thurman starts to go left and will go right. It's Thurman right, LaFrance left. In the backfield is Dan Sellers, and he gets the call. And Sellers is in trouble, and he's going to be brought down for a gain of a yard at the 15-yard line.
Unusual play on the pitch back going to the short side of the field, especially with the speed on the right side of the field. Being Thurman, being LaFrance, everybody was stacked up towards the boards. Strange play, Peter Burns.
It sure was. It was called a 38 toss, and Danny tried to cut it back to the field, but good pursuit by the National Conference.
Interesting call here in the final minute of the quarter. His team trailing 31-6.
Well, as you know, the last minute of the quarter, the clock does stop, and so it's giving Todd Hamill a chance here to take a look at all his options.
You look at Sellers in the backfield, you may think he looks big. He is 6'3", 250 pounds. Played collegiately at Cincinnati, stayed there to play for the Rockers in the AFL. Hamill, quick hitter to LaFrance, makes the grab, and he's inside the 10-yard line and knocked out of bounds at the 7. It'll be 3rd and 1, 7 yards out for the American Conference, looking for their first touchdown of the game.
Boy, these guys hit. You're going to see George LaFrance going to the Burger King sign in a real hurry.
They sure do. Those walls come up fast.
And we talked about Dowden doesn't like to get beat. That time he did, but he made LaFrance pay for it.
He sure did.
Yep, in a normal configuration, you get a little sideline to work with. All you got to worry about is the water boy and a couple buckets on the sideline. Now you got to worry about a padded wall.
John Relk from Iowa up over the ball at center. 3rd down and 1 from the 7-yard line. Hamill being pursued by Jackson, has the pass intercepted. And once again, the AFC turned away from the end zone, this time because of a pass interception by Chris Poston as the Charlotte Rage.
Chris Poston looking sharp here. Poston covering the goal line. And you'll see him actually work from his defensive safety position. He is a specialty player, listed as a safety and a safety only. 5'10", 175, plays for the Charlotte Rage out of Gardner-Webb College. You saw on the sideline the owner of the Charlotte Rage franchise, Mr. Schwab, giving him the hand. Boy, he's got a smile on his face.
He is here representing the owners tonight, and of course it was the owners that voted for this game to be played in Des Moines. Not a league site as of yet. From the 6-yard line, the NFC one more opportunity. Final minute of the quarter. The pass is dropped by Fred Gale. You don't see that very many times, Mike.
This is the 4th time in this football game, 3 for the Nationals, 1 for the Americans, where the ball has been thrown and should have been caught. I mean, right into the shoulder pads, and you get Jay Gruden saying, where else have I got to throw it for you to catch it? Come on now.
I tell you what,
yours.
Peter, I don't think that Gruden is throwing many off target tonight at all.
No, he looks really good tonight, you know.
He was the league MVP last year, the Arena Bowl MVP this year. Great player for the University of Louisville. This time he drops the snap as we brag on him, though. Why is that?
Right when we talk about someone, something like that happens.
Is that amazing?
Howard Snellenberger will take all the credit for this young man. Gruden is a premier performer in the Arena Football League, and I think you hit the nail right on the head, Larry. He has not missed any passes tonight. I haven't seen any overthrows or underthrows, for that matter. They've all been on target.
You look at Larry Kuharich, the head coach for the National Conference, and what a coaching background he has, Mike.
Got the coaching in his blood. His dad is Joe Kuharich, former coach at Notre Dame in the late 50s, early 60s. Went on to the Philadelphia Eagles, the National Football League. And he was introduced at the banquet this week by Jim Foster. Nobody in the league knows how to spell his name because it's Larry with 1 R. Now, we got Larry Morgan here with 2 R's. We got Peter Burns, standard spelling. We've got Mike Newell, which is, I suppose, standard, but no, it's L-A-R-Y.
Although, Mike, I did notice in the game program they have put 2 W's in your name here in the ad for TCI of Central Iowa.
By golly, you got that right. Couple W's. I've seen it spelled every which way.
I thought maybe you're just changing it, trying to get a little more notoriety.
2 W's, 2 L's. Well, that's more copy line for me, Larry.
31 seconds left in the second quarter. 31-6. NFC with the ball in the lead. Gruden under pressure. Sidearm flip, and it is caught. However, they rule he was down.
Yeah, he was out of the end zone. He was either down or out of the end zone. I got a hunch he was out of the end zone. Arnold Campbell puts the big rush on him. You'll see number 77 cutting up the middle. Back. He's out of there. Yeah, he was out of the end zone.
That was Aaron Campbell with a big defensive play to force him out.
And a safety. 2 points are rung up on the board. The stop is official out of the end zone if the play is still live. And you pick up a couple points just like that.
So we credit Aaron Campbell with forcing Gruden out of the end zone for the safety. And there is a look at big number 77 from Alcorn State and Danny White's Arizona Ramblers. The 6'3", 260-pounder, Aaron Campbell. Score coming with 27 seconds left in this second period.
Arnold Campbell credited with the stop that amounts to 2 points for the American Conference Stars. 27 seconds remain. And you know, with the short field dimensions here, and of course you've got the team that was scored upon having to do the kicking here, but you can still get a field goal off. Plenty of time for that because the clock does stop in the final minute of play in each half. And every place on the field is eligible for a field goal attempt.
And remember, Tyrone Thurman is the guy who can return it all the way, and he is back deep. Then standing up at the 15-yard line is Harkness, also back deep, are Michael Clark, along with George LaFrance. There's the kickoff, and Thurman's going to have a chance off the net. Here he comes. 15 in trouble, and he is going to be collared by Dennis Dalkey out of Northern Michigan in the Tampa Bay Storm.
That's the second straight kickoff for Mike Black that has come upfield and has hit the iron bracket below the net. Kicked out unusually far, not off the net, but below the net. It was fielded this time by Thurman, who brings it out to the 12-yard line. By the way, the nets and the framing apparatus are Iowa-made in Coralville, Iowa, designed and developed by Pat Foster and his son Jim, of course.
21 seconds left in the quarter. Thurman wide right. Hamill remains at the controls. LaFrance in motion, heading downfield in a hurry. The pass is complete along the far sideline to Harkness. He's upended at midfield by Darrell Philon. So the ball at the 25-yard line with 16 seconds left to play in the second quarter as we get another look.
82 will put the stop on 82. Philon comes up for the hit. He tries to go up and over. Got a piece of the boards on the way down, Harkness did. And with 16 seconds remaining, at least one more play before the field goal attempt. Perhaps two.
And as the scoreboard shows, still 2 timeouts for the American Conference. The National Conference, with no reason to stop the clock, has 3. Hamill from the Dallas Texans. Penalty marker at the snap. Hamill is scrambling, and he's brought down at the 22-yard line in NFC territory. The tackle is made by New Soleil out of the University of Missouri, but we check out the flag.
11 seconds remain, and it'll be a procedure penalty here, and it's going to cost the American Conference Stars. But again, accept it or deny it, it doesn't make much difference because every place in the field is eligible for a field goal attempt, Peter.
Exactly. You know, with the kickers in this league, they can kick at any point in this field.
Listen, down 31 to 8, what does 3 mean? I say go for 7 until there are only zeros showing up there, guys. That's my guess.
That's right.
I don't know if Danny White will think that way or not.
Timeout.
So the procedure penalty is whistled on the National Conference side of the football, and it'll be first and half the distance.
And we'll be back with the concluding 11 seconds of the first half right after this. A quick start to the action as Todd Hamill throws to Tyrone Thurman. Thurman, completing the pass, is knocked down and out of bounds against the boards at the 13-yard line. And so with 5 seconds left to play in the second quarter, it is a first down. For the American Conference, they trail 31 to 8 in this first ever Arena Football League All-Star Game. Arena ball from Veterans Auditorium. Another timeout will be taken by the American Conference. Peter Burns, as we wrap up our time with you on this telecast, when you left here, having played one game in the Arena Football League with the Cleveland Thunderbolts, did you think you'd actually be spending the summer as a pro football player?
Well, it was the back of my mind, and I'm just glad that I had the opportunity, and everything worked out for me.
So are we. Good luck, and good luck with the Panthers this fall.
Thank you.
Peter Burns, your folks, you're a native of Pella. They saw a lot of your Northern Iowa at the Unidome in Cedar Falls. Did they see any indoor football?
They sure did.
On the arena scene?
They came out July 4th and saw a game out in Cleveland, and they picked up every game on the Dish TV at home, and they were able to see me play many a time.
You're looking forward to season number 2.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to the chance to play in the AFL again.
Well, when you get back to Cedar Falls, you tell the head coach, Terry Allen, you're working as an assistant now while you finish up some coursework at UNI. You tell them that we're expecting big things out of the Northern Iowa Panthers in 1993. They've got the horses, don't they?
They definitely got the personnel, and I think that they have some great players, that will get them to the national championship on December 18th.
Well, now that's a guarantee, Larry Morgan. You heard it from Peter Burns. He is putting it down in concrete. December 18th, put it on your calendar. Terry Allen, no pressure on our end, though. No pressure.
5 seconds to go in the quarter. AFC hasn't scored a touchdown in this first half. Hamill throws, and not going to get one this time either. Looking for Thurman, who didn't turn around in time. 2 seconds left. Now let's see what Danny White will do. He calls on Zendejas, I believe. Yep, that's what he's going to do. He's going to call on Luis Zendejas out of Arizona State to attempt a field goal.
He had to get rid of it in a hurry, and Thurman had not made the turn as yet. It was a bit low as well. Nice pattern, though. He was free enough to catch the pass that had been there, but he had to release a bit too quick.
Mike, we're seeing a great defensive effort by the National Conference. You talk about their offense, but their defense has really come after the quarterback for the American Conference, Todd Hamill.
Indeed.
From the 21-yard line, so it is a 31-yard effort for Zendejas. He's hit one tonight, a 51-yarder. Had another one deflected at the line of scrimmage. And as the horn sounds, the field goal is good. So Zendejas connects from 31 yards out at the buzzer. And we have reached halftime in this first ever Arena Football League All-Star game. And it is the National Conference 31, the American Conference 11. We have a most interesting halftime show for you coming up. We're going to talk with the founder of Arena Football, Jim Foster. Also have an opportunity to visit with some of the key players in this game. Some interviews we had a chance to record before the ball game. You see Dave Winham, the former coach at Cleveland, dismissed after this season, walk off, and the man in the glasses. He, of course, coached in the Rumble Under the Roof along with the head coach for the American Conference, Danny White. And they got to figure some things out because the National Conference is dominated on both sides of the football. And at the half they lead, or halftime score, the National Conference 31, the American Conference 11. Stay tuned for our halftime coverage coming up in a moment.
It's only fitting that the guy who invented arena football is the guy who came up with the idea for an arena football all-star game. That, of course, is Jim Foster. As the AFL completes its 7th season, they have their very first all-star game. This was a short-term project. You put together one great football game in, what, 3 weeks?
It seems like it was overnight, actually, at this point. I don't know how long it's been since I had a good night's sleep, but it's been worth it because it's for a good cause. And I do have to correct you just a little bit. The guy that came up with the original idea is the grandfather of arena football, Pat Foster from Iowa State. And, of course, he's here tonight. He's been putting the whole field together again for me and doing a great job.
Now, we'll talk about that great cause, the proceeds going to Iowa Flood Relief Project.
That's right. What prompted this was Dad was telling me one day on the phone about the flooding out here. I'm, of course, in Chicago still, and talking about arena football and what we were going to do next here, and it kind of just came together on the phone. Boy, you ought to play an all-star game for relief. And I thought, great idea. I talked to a lot of people. We got into it. As you know, things were a little slow with ticket sales after an initial spurt, and I think it was just a lot of people, it's been tough coming out of the flood, getting cranked up again. The fair is here. It's probably a little bit bigger than some people realize that it is to compete against. But, with that little cooperation with Mother Nature today, it's raining outside, but it's always beautiful inside for arena ball and the air-conditioned roof of Vets Auditorium. It's another rumble under the roof here, and it's nice and dry.
Jim, 7 years now in the Arena Football League. Things are looking real good. You're adding 2 new franchises, Las Vegas and Milwaukee. Next year, that's a total of 12, 2 6-team divisions. And Iowa's on the list, Des Moines, Iowa specifically. What's the temperature reading right now for a franchise right here?
Well, I've been looking at 95 primarily. 94 is not out of the question. This game has become another barometer. We did this game originally because we felt the enthusiasm and the sellout of the first game would make it relatively easy to do the charity game. As I just mentioned, some of the complications that we ran into here hurt the attendance a little bit. I know there's a big crowd out in front. We've sold a lot of tickets the last couple of days. We're going to have a pretty good crowd here tonight. I don't think that's going to hinder our effort overall. But we got to come out of this game tonight and evaluate where we're at. The key now, Mike, is that we're going to do a season ticket commitment drive. Very important. If people want a team here in Iowa, they need to make the commitment to a season ticket. The NFL does it. The Major League Baseball, the NBA, they go into expansion markets. They say, if you want a team here, vote with your pocketbook. We're asking people to put $15, that's all, for tickets into escrow. Nobody touches the money. It sits here at Vets Auditorium. If we get enough head count on that by the 1st of November, I'm prepared to petition the league to put my arena football team here in Des Moines, Iowa, my home state, and come back and have a lot of fun here with this thing.
Jim, we're looking forward to it. Congratulations on a great game.
It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of great players these people are going to see tonight. It's an outstanding football game, as you can see already.
We're going to be talking to some of the big names in this Arena Football All-Star Game. Larry Morgan is up next with Keith Browner.
Keith Browner of the Tampa Bay Storm was the Ironman winner for the Arena game. The Arena Bowl game, you had a touchdown offensively and defensively. Doesn't happen many times in a player's career. It had to be a thrill for you.
It was a thrill for me. You know, it's like I said, it's very often a big guy like myself on the offensive line, defensive line, get a chance to score 2 touchdowns on both sides of the ball. So it was a great achievement on my part, and I think it came at the right time for me.
Yeah, now for those who didn't get to see the game, how did they happen?
Well, it happened one time. This was a quarterback, Renfro fumbled the ball in the end zone, and he couldn't find it, so I ran through there and picked it up, and that was the score. I didn't have to run nowhere. That was one of the scores. And the next score was a 9-yard touchdown pass from our halfback, Bobby Bird, and threw the ball, and I think made a catch. It was a nice catch, but, you know, anytime I catch the ball, it's a great catch for me.
But sure, and that's one of the real fun parts of this game is you get to go both ways. Did that take some adjustment when you came out of the NFL?
Yes, it did. You know, defense is no problem for me, but I had to learn how to block and get the technique down, and the main thing is to get the stamina going also, because it's a tiring game. And NFL, you play one side of the ball. To the Arena ball, I came, and I was like, I wasn't really big on the game, didn't know nothing about it. I just picked it up, and came, and I was surprised. You know, I was very tired at the end of the game, couldn't breathe. And then I got beat quite a few times on the pass rush, so I'm not used to that, so I had to work on that.
You know, you're telling me that there's an advantage for the players who are in the Arena Bowl game because you guys have played more recently than a lot of the All-Stars.
Exactly. You know, we haven't had a week off yet, so, you know, most of them, some players haven't played 2 weeks, some 2, maybe some 1. But we've been playing straight through the season, and this is my 17th game right now. I'm playing it tonight, and it feels good, so I'm still on top and very sharp in what I'm going to be doing tonight, and the other players probably be a little rusty, but it's going to be a good game.
Now, you come off the championship game a week ago. What does this All-Star game mean to you?
It means a lot to be the first to be a part of an All-Star game that's first year going, an inaugural season for All-Star game, and it's something that I'll cherish the rest of my life. You know, I've never made it in the NFL Pro Bowl, so this is my pro team right now, playing with the Tampa Bay Storm and throughout the league, the National League. So it's a great honor for me, and I'm very honored to be playing this game.
Do you think the players will take it seriously tonight?
Oh, yes. I mean, anytime you put the pads on, you got to play it seriously. If you take it lightly, you can get hurt. You know, when you go less than 100%, that's when most players get hurt. So, you know, we're happy to be playing this game.
Well, congratulations on what's been a great year for you so far.
No, thanks a lot.
All right. That's Keith Browner. Coming up next, Keith's teammate, the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Storm, a terrific football player, terrific quarterback, and Jay Gruden. We'll be back to talk to him right after these words. National Conference quarterback Jay Gruden rewrote the record books at the University of Louisville, has done exactly the same thing in the Arena Football League. Jay, great pleasure to have you with us in Des Moines. Have you enjoyed the preparation, getting ready for the All-Star game?
We're having a great time. Went to the State Fair last night, had a great time, and you know, it's fun practicing with some of these great players from around the league.
Tell me about the way you approach this game. Is it any different than you would approach a regular league game?
I think you have to cram in a lot of offense into a short period of time, so our offense won't be as expanded as it is in a regular season game. Pretty much the basic stuff, and it's a matter of getting used to the people around you. It's tougher than a regular season game.
Who are some of the receivers you've worked with this week that have impressed you?
Oh, yeah. Fred Gales and Ryan Bethea, they're great receivers from Charlotte and Albany. And, of course, we got Stevie Thomas from Tampa Bay. We connected for about 23 touchdowns, so we got some familiar faces in there also.
I think 75% of the players in this game have some NFL experience, and despite your great record, you don't. Has it bothered you? You haven't had that shot at the NFL?
Yeah, it bothers you a little bit when you look on TV and you see some quarterbacks and you think, well, I could do it. I think I'm as good as him. It just bothers you not getting a chance. It wouldn't bother me as much as if I went into camp and got cut, and I could, you know, see if I wasn't good enough, but just that not knowing bothers you.
Is that dream still alive, though?
Oh, yeah, if I were to get an opportunity, I'd go, but I'm not, you know, counting on it, putting all my eggs in that basket. I'm having a great time playing arena football, and I'm going to continue doing so until, you know, I get too old or whatever.
I was going to ask about the Arena Football League. You enjoy playing in it. You're proud of the league?
I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of where it's going. I think it's got a great chance to expand and get better, and we can get some television like ESPN or something like that. It's got a chance to really grow, and I'm hoping it does that. That's why I'm staying with it for a couple more years.
Is this All-Star game a step in that direction?
I think so. You know, it's just a little bit more notoriety when you have an All-Star game, and you know, we got ESPN game live with our championship game last week, and you know, we're starting to go the right way.
Now, as a quarterback, you know, in conventional football, there's some time to kind of reflect on the game. It changes hands so quickly. Is that more of an adjustment that you have to get out there so much more quickly?
Yeah, you have to be prepared to really get on the field at all times, you know, because you never know when a quick turnover, a quick, you know, interception, whatever is going to happen. So you just have to be ready at all times.
Any arena football game is wide open and high scoring. Do you look for more of the same tonight?
Oh, yeah. You know, there's too many great offensive players in this game to be a low-scoring game. But there are great defensive pass rushers and defenders also. So, you know, I'm not sure what to expect. You got pretty vanilla offense going against some good defensive players. So it should be interesting.
It should be. What do you do in the off season?
Last year I worked for the team year-round. I did some PR for them and some scouting. So I'm looking forward to maybe doing that again.
You sound like you're very high on arena football.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited about it, and especially when you win a championship. You know, it makes it a lot easier to enjoy the game.
He was the MVP last week in the Arena Bowl. Jay Gruden has been our guest. Our halftime continues with a visit with John Wilk, former University of Iowa standout. It'll come up right after this. If you're an Iowa Hawkeye fan, the name John Wilk is somebody I know you remember, part of Hayden Fry's first recruiting class. Since then, he's been in the Arena Football League with the Detroit Drive. And, John, it must be a great thrill for you to come back to Iowa to play in this game.
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, I got a lot of family, a lot of friends coming up to this game. It'll be the first time I play a football game here in the state for 10 years. So, you know, I'm real excited about tonight. I think it'll be a real good crowd.
But not the first time that you've had an athletic event in this building.
I wrestled in here in 1979 against a guy that weighed about 400 pounds, and he smashed me. So, yeah, I've been in this building before, so it's no... It looks a little smaller now than it did when you're in high school. It seems a little bigger than it is.
Of course, you're one of only two players around since the inception of the league. How has it grown?
It's grown as far as the quality of the players has gotten better every year. And just the strategies of the teams. You got coaches like Danny White coming in, and he knows so much football that, you know, you can't help but to have teams get better. So I think the strategies and the players mainly.
Has it been interesting working under him this week?
Yeah, it's been real nice because I've had the same coach up in Detroit for 6 years now, so it's nice to get a sense of what somebody else is trying to teach you. You respect the guy a lot just because he played in the NFL, and he's a great person too.
You've been in Des Moines for a couple of days now, and we're here earlier when this first game that we played, or the preseason game, was being formed. Is it your impression that this city is ready for arena football? Yeah,
I think it was, but then maybe because of the state fair, the people didn't buy up the tickets as quick. But I still think it's a good place, for a football team. The fans are here. It's like I was out at the fair last night, and there was a lot of people out there, so that might have had a little bit more to do with it than people thought.
Where do you see the game going? Do you see arena football continuing to grow?
Yeah, I think it'll be around for a long time. You got real strong franchises in the league, and it's at a position now where it's just taken off, and I think it'll be around for a long time.
We mentioned you're one of two pioneer players in the league. Do you plan to continue for a while?
Yeah, I take it year to year every year, and I felt like I had a good year this year. As a lineman, you kind of judge yourself on sacks, and I've given up 2 in the last 30 games, so that's 1 a year. So if I can keep playing well and keep, being able to stay with the competition, I'll keep playing.
Jay Gruden was saying a moment ago that he felt that with the offenses being a little more basic, defenses might be stronger in this game than the normal arena game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it could go both ways. I think maybe it might be a higher scoring game, but, it could be defense, too. You never know. Some of these guys haven't played in a while. Jay's team and my team just played last week, so our guys are probably, haven't really missed much as far as shape, but some of these guys, it'll be interesting, who haven't played 2, 3, 4 weeks, see where they're at physically.
John, congratulations on the career you've had so far. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
John Wilk, former Hawkeye of the Detroit Drive, has been our guest. Our halftime will continue. We'll have a first-half recap, so please stay tuned. Larry Morgan back with Mike Newell and Howard Balzer from Pro Football Weekly. Gentlemen, when you take a look at the first-half highlights, they were virtually all National Conference, starting with the very first play of the ballgame.
Yes, indeed it was. First play from scrimmage. Jay Gruden to Stevie Thomas, 32 yards. The Mike Flack kick was good, and one play deep into this all-star football game, it was a 7-0 contest. The Nationals lead the Americans. That was one of 2 Jay Gruden to Stevie Thomas connections. Another coming later on at 5:45 remaining in the first quarter. Jay Gruden to Stevie Thomas, 14 yards of connection. And just like that, you got a 31-11 lead heading into the second half.
And the second half is underway. Black kicking it short of the net. It is fielded by LaFrance. This guy can fly, but not this time. He gets only to the 12-yard line, and he is ridden down at that point. Let's take a look at first half stats, Howard.
Yeah, real domination. Of course, some of that is kind of misleading because of that fake field goal from the American Conference. That got them about 27 of their 100 yards, and only a 1 penalty, 28. Well, this is backwards, I think. I'm sure the National must have 28 rushing yards and the American 2. So or 20 actually. So real domination. But Paul Justin is a quarterback in the second half for the American Conference, and maybe we'll see some better offensive output from them this half.
He threw for a league record 2,846 yards, and he has protection. However, he had the ball deflected. It floats up there, and it's nearly picked off by Corey Dowden. And Howard, the other story of the first half, I know in arena football, you don't often talk about defensive effort, but what a great defensive effort.
Yeah, it really was. As we see here, the ball deflected, or Justin's arm hit as he's thrown, but it was a great defensive effort by the National Conference. And again, just like in any football, dominate the line of scrimmage, and you're going to win most of your football games. And that's what we saw there. The American Conference had a lot of trouble with Keith Browner. Hamill had 3 passes deflected. Keith Browner had 2 of them. And Justin a little taller, though, at 6'4", compared to Hamill 6'2", but not a very auspicious start for him either.
You will see a cast on Justin's left wrist. He suffered a fractured wrist the 3rd game of the season. Throws to the near sideline. LaFrance catches at the 20, and he is out of bounds near midfield. Getting 27 LaFrance in the action has got to be very important for the American Conference, Mike.
Well, with his kind of speed and his kind of talent, you have to honor the threat. And anytime you put his kind of talent out on the field on the same side of the field with Thurman, you are really, well, you're begging one-on-one coverage because one of them is going to shake free.
The only thing I still can't understand is we're not seeing any of Gary Mullen. I don't know if he's got a little injury that nobody's talked about, but you'd think they'd find a place for him on the field at least at some point in the game.
Paul Justin from the Arizona Rattlers sending Thurman in motion, pitching it to Sellers, and Sellers tries to turn the corner, and a good open field tackle by Andre Bowden. Bowden's been impressive on both sides of the football.
Yeah, he's one of the better iron men in the league, a very good, really the classic fullback linebacker in this league. Plays fullback on offense, linebacker on defense, pretty good blitzer at times, good nose for the ball, and pursues very well also.
At midfield, the American Conference faces a 2nd down and 7. They are behind by 20 points. But again, Mike, we talk about it so many times. 20 points can evaporate almost instantly in this league.
Oh, yeah. That's a couple minutes hard work in this offensive-minded arena football league. And in the All-Star game, I think it's just a matter of putting it together, getting to play with your personnel and knowing what to look for.
LaFrance in motion, a running start, and they're looking for him in the right corner of the end zone. Touchdown! The American Conference with their first touchdown of the ball game. It is a 25-yard bomb from midfield. Justin to LaFrance. And you talked about it, Howard. Justin comes in. He can make things happen in a hurry.
He really can, and that was a perfectly thrown ball. LaFrance, as we'll see here, did a great job of catching it just inside the sideline. In fact, one of the officials looked up the sideline for help because the cameramen were in his way. But LaFrance made a great catch, kept it. Remember, you only have to have 1 foot in bounds in arena football, unlike the NFL. So that was a factor there as we see it again from a good angle, as we see LaFrance break open, gets the 1 foot in before going into the boards.
Zendejas for the point after. It is good. Zendejas with 3 first-half field goals. Now his first PAT following the first touchdown by the American Conference. And the National Conference sees their lead shade to 13 at 31-18. And again, we're just underway, 3rd period, with 11 minutes and 31 seconds to play.
And Paul Justin just looking terrific. Justin is one of those who got a look-see from the Chicago Bears, but not much more. Howard Balzer, why didn't he get to the NFL?
Well, he was the Bears' 3rd quarterback in 1991, along with, of course, Jim Harbaugh and Peter Tom Willis. Then last year, the Bears drafted Will Fuhrer on either the 2nd or the 3rd round, and that just became a numbers game with Paul Justin, and he was cut. And having already been in the league for 1 year, he wasn't eligible for the practice squad, which kind of hurt, and nobody else picked him up. But he can play. He could be a backup in the NFL, but I'm sure he enjoys playing here. One factor now we'll see in the National Conference is Mike Hold, the backup quarterback, I believe will be playing. Well, he came out on the field with his helmet. We'll see if he plays in the second half. He didn't play that much during the regular season, so we have to wonder about whether he'll be rusty or not. This could enable the American Conference to get back into the game.
After hitting the scoreboard once, Zendejas now chooses to tee it up on the near sideline rather than in the middle. And he kicks it into the net, trying to return it. Gary Mullen, who we've been looking for. The ball is loose in the end zone, and it is a touchback. It's a touchback, and the ball will come out.
Great play by Poston. Chris Poston from the National Conference did a good, actually did a good job of keeping the ball out through the end zone here. As we see it bounce off the net, not handled. It goes over Stevie Thomas's head. Poston jumps for it. Philon jumps for it, and then the tackle made there by the American Conference. Fortunately, it goes out the back of the end zone.
And so the ball brought out to the 5-yard line. The National Conference 31, first half point.
Well, I was wrong. Mike Hold will not play. So Larry Kuharich wants to win this football game.
Talk about Jay Gruden a little bit after this play and why, with all the great numbers he's had, that the National Football League hasn't indicated more of an interest in him as Bowden carries it out for about 3 yards.
Well, it's really hard to tell how any of these guys would do in an NFL camp. Jay Gruden was in the Dolphins practice squad for a short time a few seasons ago, in 1990, I believe it was, and you know he's not that quick. Of course, some quarterbacks you don't need quickness, but a lot of it becomes politics, the numbers game, and all that. And even though he's successful here, you've really got to be able to throw that out in the NFL to be successful. And I don't know if Jay Gruden has a strong enough arm for the NFL.
Gruden 5 of 11, 3 touchdowns in the first half. Pitches it to Lou Soleil, and he carries across the 10 out to the 11-yard line. So thus far, the National Conference, a couple of running plays on their first 2 downs of their first possession in the second half.
Yeah, I'm surprised, too. Why wouldn't they put it up in the air after the nearest safety? And by the way, why wasn't that a 2-pointer? The reason is this: you have to have possession of the football in order to be nailed in your own end zone or out of it, for that matter. And none of the 3 players really did establish control of the football. They did make contact, but it's out of play, touchback.
5 minutes gone in the third quarter. Bowden in the backfield behind Gruden. The pass complete to Saleh. He's across the 15, has the first down out to the 20, and brought down near the 24-yard line. First and 10 for the National Conference. Made by Sam Moore.
New Saleh out of the University of Missouri. And he'll work the sideline here, and he's lucky he wasn't put up into the nickel seat because he was vulnerable along those boards, Larry.
I'll tell you something else about Jay Gruden. They list him as 6'1", and that might be being kind. But Saleh makes a great play there and picks up a key first down.
Gruden with protection, fires it deep, not very strong though, and the pass is almost caught anyway by Fled Gales. Now that was not a great throw by Gruden.
It looks like we have two players shaken up. Gales was on the collision, and who's that down there for the American
Jack Garland Rivers. We'll check it here. The 2 players will crunch in on him because Clark comes in as well. Also coming in is Richard Carey, and you'll see the collision there, and down it looks like it's Garland Rivers.
It is. Rivers, of course, out of Michigan. Big Ten fans in this area remember him well. First-team All-American. Saw some NFL time with the Bills, Bears, and 49ers, and he's the one who's still down. Gales is up and back to the huddle.
Gales slow to get up, and Rivers is still down. He got crunched in there, and a lot of the National Conference stars were saying, hey, the flag should have gone down. The contact was not incidental. But the referee saw it differently. They thought that was incidental contact going after the football.
Well, Rivers is attended to. Howard, you, of course, followed this league from its inception. Des Moines hoping to get a franchise. What do you think of the atmosphere? What do you think of this particular building for arena football?
I think it's a great atmosphere. This is really a great building for it. About the only negative is it doesn't hold that many. But, you know, it gets to be a situation if you prove yourself to be successful, then I guess you make the necessary adjustments. You could always add some seats in one of the end zones. But this is really a great environment because you're right on top of it. This is like almost where we are. It's like watching a basketball game. We're so close to the action, and the fans are into it. They're enjoying it, and they're not rooting for a team, basically. And when they're, I'm sure Des Moines rooting for their own team would even have a lot more fun.
Oh, I'm sure you're right. On second down, Gruder completes to Stevie Thomas. Thomas has already caught a couple of touchdowns, is hauled down just inside the 20 at the 19-yard line. Stevie Thomas out of Bethune-Cookman plays for the Arena Bowl champion Tampa Bay Storm, along with Gruden, the quarterback. I'm going to watch that duo hook up one more time.
They hooked up 23 times during the regular season for touchdowns, and Thomas has had some big games, had a touchdown last week in the Arena Bowl. 2 years ago set an Arena Bowl record with 4 touchdown receptions, so he's been a big part of this Tampa Bay Storm success over the last few seasons. And there's a guy you would think could probably compete for a spot in the NFL, but again, the numbers game makes it very difficult. 3rd and 2 at the 18-yard line, and there is contact prior to the snap.
Arnold Campbell will blast across the line. He will contend he was drawn across. You know, in that last completion to Stevie Thomas, who has 2 TD connections in this one, that's one of the few times that you'll see Gruden throw under the coverage rather than over. He much prefers to throw above the coverage and have somebody get underneath it. But this time, this is what they talk about.
Again, you have the opportunity tonight.
He's throwing under the coverage. There you see Campbell.
Although, you know, last week in the Arena Bowl, it was a great game plan by Larry Kuharich, because they knew that Detroit was going to defensively try to a great fan in the stands there. They knew that Detroit was going to try to stop Stevie Thomas, and that he threw underneath quite often last week, and they were very methodical and very disciplined.
Gruden works a running play to Bowden, and Bowden on first down carries to the 11, picks up about 4, and it'll bring up a 2nd down and 6. That defensive penalty giving the National Conference a first down. They are on the march with 7:58 left to go in the 3rd quarter.
Hey, there's one reason Des Moines deserves a team, and that's those cheerleaders.
Yeah. You like the cheerleaders. They do a good job, don't they?
First professional football cheerleaders in Iowa. Iowa's finest. They are great.
I'm sure they are Iowa's finest.
The kids are really enjoying themselves, too. They just love the opportunity to get out and root for a team that's in a city that doesn't have a team, you see.
Thomas wide left, picked up by Carey, catches it anyway, and is into the end zone. A penalty marker is down. Thomas, a simple slant from the left flank spot right over the middle. Carey was with him all the way. However, Thomas had him beaten, got into the end zone. Let's see if it'll stand up.
I think it was interference, actually. Carey wrapped him up a little. Well, holding, yeah, defensive holding. Had him wrapped up before the ball got there, but declined. Touchdown.
So put the touchdown on the board for the National Conference, and their lead is 37-18, a 12-yard throw. Now Black will attempt the point after. So Gruden is tossed for his 4th touchdown. Black with a point after it, and with 7:11 left to play in the 3rd quarter, it is a 38-18 lead for the National Conference, and we'll return to Veterans Auditorium in just a moment.
You can bring an Arena Bowl season to Des Moines
for the 3rd time in this game, Jay Gruden and Stevie Thomas from the Arena Bowl champion Tampa Bay Storm have connected on a touchdown. That one a 12-yarder. Their previous wins were 30 and 14, and the National Conference leads at 38-18. Black kicks off for the National Conference. And it goes underneath the crossbar, which means an automatic touchback, and American Conference will have it from the 5-yard line.
Yep, and it goes up into the stands. One of the cheerleaders tossed it back up, and he's got his souvenir. And the fans on hand tonight in the stands who bought a ticket have 2 weeks to indeed cash that in, as it were, to be a season ticket holder for the proposed franchise in Des Moines, Iowa. In the Arena Football League, you got 2 weeks. There will be a fall ticket sale to try to get things off the ground to make sure the franchise has solid financial footing. But 2 weeks for the ticket holders tonight, and they can become season ticket holders by merely stepping forward.
Justin, who led the American Conference to their only touchdown, his last possession, completes the first pass of this drive. It is hauled in by Sam Moore, and Moore gains 8 on the play, is out to the 13-yard line. It will bring up a 2nd down and 2. After 2 weeks, as Mike said, those who are here had that option on a season ticket. Then it's open to everybody. And Jim Foster says we'll need to make a commitment concerning season tickets, and he'd like about 4,000 to convince the owners in the Arena Football League that Des Moines, though it would be one of the smaller markets in the league, deserves a franchise.
He did have a sales job, and of course it'll be considered an Iowa franchise as much a Des Moines franchise down the road. And He's got a sales job with the owners.
The former Hawkeye John Rolfe back in at center as the pass complete to George LaFrance. Corey Dowden pounds him against the board across midfield. A first down for the American Conference. They got a first down at the 23 of the National Conference. With Justin in, Mike, this American Conference looks like a rejuvenated offense.
Justin is quite a quarterback. We saw him in preseason right here in Des Moines Advance playing for the Arizona Rattlers in his debut. Mike Hold, as a matter of fact, the backup quarterback for the Nationals, was on that team, and he was optioned away.
Justin under Relk. Looks for the bomb, and there's a pass interference, and a classic pass interference indeed. Sam Moore just ran down, Andre Johnson just ran down the back of Sam Moore.
Yeah, it's coming right up in the heels, and he only had one choice because that was a touchdown pass from Justin D'Amour, and he made the foul. You'll see it right there. Actually caught his heel on the way down, and that'll set it up at, well, somewhere around the 4-yard line, I would suspect.
And so the ball will be placed down, which will give the American Conference a great opportunity.
My apologies.
Take it to 15.
Yeah, my apologies.
If those days of the spot of the infraction are gone.
Yeah, that's right.
And, of course, pass interference is a major penalty in the arena football, and a major penalty is an 8-yard penalty. A minor penalty is a 3-yard penalty. Nevertheless, the American Conference with a first down, 15 yards from Pater. Did not get a touchdown in the first half. Justin came in. They had one on their first possession in the third quarter, trying for their second now. Dan Sellers, the setback, but Justin wants to put it in the air. Again, he has great protection, and he completes it up over the middle. A touchdown to Tyrone Thurman. Tyrone Thurman scampers into the end zone. And suddenly the American Conference is on fire. A 15-yard touchdown pass from Justin to Thurman.
Boy, you just can't let Thurman go for even an eyelash, because watch this. He is, once he touches the leather, he knows where to go. And one of the most exciting players ever in the Arena Football League, Tyrone Thurman out of Texas Tech, on the hookup from Arizona State's Paul Justin of the Arizona Rattlers, and just like that, we're on the move on the scoreboard again.
Zendejas with 3 field goals and a PAT will kick out of the hole by Todd Hamill, who quarterbacked the first half of the American Conference. And it's good. And so, as we expected, it's a ball game again. The margin down to 13, 38-25. National Conference has the lead. We're back at Veterans Auditorium right after this. Twice the National Conference has built 20-point leads, but each time the American Conference has come back. Zendejas kicking. Deep as Gales, one of the best returners in the Arena Football League. To the 10, reverses his field, but is tripped up. And a good open field tackle is turned in by Dan Sellers out of the Cincinnati Rockers. And so, the National Conference back onto the field under the direction of Jay Gruden. He's gone all the way at quarterback. Of course, he was the MVP in the Arena Bowl against Detroit last week, 19 of 33 for 3 touchdowns, 213 yards. 14-yard line, the line of scrimmage, first and 10. Of course, it is 10 yards for a first down, just like in outdoor football in the Arena Football League. And you get 4 downs to do it. That's about the end of the similarity. Gruden, nice sidearm flip to Keith Browner, and Browner will be down just about the line of scrimmage, Mike.
Yeah, loading up on the left side is the National Conference. Loading up all the down to the left side. You saw Browner come out of the huddle and raise his hand. That makes him the designated tight end. Then the throw to the short side of the field. Pretty good strategy, pretty good dynamics. You'll look to the right, you see now, and Browner will bring it on. He's the tight end on this play. That's what I like about this particular game, this Arena Football game, is you can have tackles eligible real easy because the tight end position is very fluid. And
gain of about a half yard. And now penalty markers fly.
Howard Balzer, while we've got a second here, writing for Pro Football Weekly, you've seen your football wars, and we'll check with him a little bit later, but I'm curious as to the quality of ball player that has evolved in the Arena Football League over 7 years now that it has been 7 complete seasons, and looking forward to an 8th with the addition of Las Vegas and Milwaukee. So we'll have 2 16 divisions in the league. And the league is growing. A lot of applications are in for new franchises.
You know, we talked about how Des Moines needs to indicate support for this league. When you're competing with the Las Vegases and Milwaukee's of the world, it shows you. It's going to be a great effort if Des Moines can pull it off. A running play to Junior Jackson. Jackson mostly used offensively, but the defensively, but they're not getting an offensive call that particular time. And again, very little running room. Suddenly, that American Conference defense is stiffened.
Yes, it has. They're looking tough, Larry. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said in the first half of this game, it wasn't the National Conference's offensive output with 31 points. It was their terrific defense putting the lid on the American Conference All-Stars, and we got a ball game.
3rd down and 6. Gruden needs a first down here, and he's got one as he completes it to Fred Gales. Gales knocked down by Michael Clark, but it's a first down for the National Conference. A big 3rd down conversion for Jay Gruden.
Gruden will plant the foot. He's got plenty of time, and he'll find his man up deep, and ooh, that hurts all the way up here, Larry.
Gales playing on his home field because this is the field used by the Albany Firebirds. It was transported in here at no cost for this Arena Football League All-Star game. And that's who Gales plays for, the Albany Firebirds. Here comes the pitch to Jackson. Jackson is stood up by Kent Wells out of Nebraska as he hits the 15-yard line. So it will be virtually no gain and bring up 2nd and 10.
Well, that's a heck of a ball player. Guy who brings his own field. My goodness.
He not only shows up with a helmet that says the Firebirds, he brings a football field that says the Albany Firebirds. Gain of a yard, 2nd and 9 to the 14-yard line. NFC with the ball in a 38-25 lead. 1 minute, 10 seconds to go in the 3rd period.
Good to see Peter Burns of the Cleveland Thunderbolts, late of Pella, Iowa, late of the University of Northern Iowa, stopping in to join us in the booth in the first half.
Thomas wide left. Gruden throws up the middle. Pass caught by Keith Grunner. Grunner to the 7-yard line will be short of a first down. They may give him forward progress to the 6. He will be short of a first down regardless, and I guess they're going to mark it right at the 7. Now I take it back. They're going to mark it at the 6, but it will still be short of a first down by about a yard and bring up 3rd and 1.
Here's Browner, the designated tight end, right over the middle. Gruden gets him at the 5. They'll call it the 6-yard line. Good bloodlines. Joey Browner, Ross Browner, Jimmy Browner, and now Keith. All terrific professional ball players in the NFL.
Bethea wide to the right, and wide to the left is Stevie Thomas on this 3rd down and 1. But Gruden doesn't want a first down. He wants a touchdown. Hits Stevie Thomas, but a flag is down at the line of scrimmage. It would be the 4th time that Gruden and Thomas have connected on a touchdown if, in fact, the touchdown stands up. Thomas celebrates in the end zone. Let's see if it's a premature celebration. It is not. It's a defensive penalty. A penalty decline. Touchdown for the National Conference, and they lead it 44-25.
6 yards, the connection over the middle for the 4th time in this football game. Jay Gruden to Stevie Thomas from the AFL, the Arena Football League champion, Tampa Bay Storm.
Flash misses the point after as the 3rd quarter comes to a close. That's the end of 3 quarters. The score, National 44, American 25 in this first ever Arena Football League All-Star game. We'll be back right after this. Final period underway. The kickoff from Black as the National Conference sails into the stand. Check out these numbers for national quarterback Jay Gruden. 11 of 18, 158 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 of them caught by his Tampa Bay Storm teammate Stevie Thomas. He's caught 5 balls overall for 70 yards. The penalty assessed for kicking it out of bounds. And Mike, when they bring it to the 20 in this 50-yard field, that is really a significant penalty.
Yes. Yes, it is. And if field position is the name of the game in the 100-yard game, you can imagine what it is when the field is only half that size.
National Conference scored in their first play from scrimmage. They've led all the way by as many as 20. Their current advantage, 44-25, and yes, they're getting into it at Beckman's Auditorium. Paul Justin has come in at quarterback, directed the American Conference to their only 2 touchdowns, both in this period. LaFrance in motion. The pass goes to Tyrone Thurman, and Thurman is banged against the boards at the 17-yard line, but it's enough for a first down for the American Conference. Mike, I think this is going to be a wild quarter.
Yes, it is, and we saw that in the preseason game back on April 29th when the Arizona Rattlers and the Cleveland Thunderbolts got together. It was a wild and crazy third quarter, and then late in the fourth quarter, which seemed to last an hour, 20 points or thereabout went up in the board.
So there's no way to really be conservative if you're trying to sit on the lead in this game.
All it's going to do is cost you, because every possession you have that chance for 3, and usually more.
18 yards from Pager, the American Conference. In his second half since coming in, Justin has hit on all 6 of his passes for 62 yards and 2 touchdowns. This time he's in trouble, breaks out of trouble, and then fires an incomplete looking for Sam Moore. Moore claims that he was interfered with by Poston. Poston claims that he was interfered with by Moore, and a penalty marker is down. Danny White's on the field for the American Conference. He wants it to be called against the defense, but the officials will have to sort it out.
This might be the coin flip. Who's the guy who's going to get caught? Darryl Philon in hand-to-hand combat with Sam Moore. And this occurred right at about the 5-yard line, and as it gets unraveled, it looks like it's going to be marked off against the National Conference All-Stars, and it goes to the 10-yard line. So the guy who got caught was Philon. Perhaps before that, you mentioned Chris Poston.
And so the ball at the 10-yard line. First down, goal to go for the American Conference. 13:44, an eternity in arena football, which means they are right in it, though they trail at this point by 19. Justin out of Arizona State, where in 1 game in his career he completed passes with 534 yards against Washington State for a Pac-10 record. This past season he set league records for passes completed and attempted. And a buzzer sounds, the play clock expired, and so Justin angrily throws the football to the ground. The play clock expired, Mike, and that's going to cost him.
Justin spent a bit too much time on the sideline with his head coach, Danny White, himself, of course, a former quarterback, Dallas Cowboys, and now the head coach with the Arizona Rattlers and the American Conference All-Stars. These 2 gentlemen both went to Arizona State, of course, Danny White and Paul Justin. Too much time on the sideline. They cost him at the snap.
And if Justin stayed healthy, he probably would have busted more of Danny White's records than he did.
Yep.
At one time they said coming up, Paul Justin might be a Heisman Trophy candidate. But he was injury plagued. The strong side is to the left. Just about everybody's there. And the pass is knocked away from behind by Andre Bowden. Bowden from the Tampa Storm led his team in tackles during the regular season and in sacks with 6. Bowden didn't get the sack there, but he got a big deflection.
Here's another tough read. Was the arm going forward? And it clearly was by the time Bowden makes the contact there. We talked about Justin getting a look-see by the Chicago Bears. He is a Chicago native out of Schaumburg, Illinois, and I know that his opportunity with the Chicago Bears was a bitter experience. He didn't think he got enough playing time to earn a job nor to lose one.
Thurman and LaFrance wide to the left. Moore wide to the right. Justin stays in the pocket, fires at the end zone to LaFrance. Touchdown! Touchdown for the American Conference. And that's 3 possessions and 3 touchdowns for Paul Justin.
Boy, that George LaFrance magic in the end zone. There you see it. He's all alone by a good 3-4 yards. He shook loose deep in the end zone, and that's the name of that tune. The meter's running on the scoreboard right now. We've got 75 points up on the board with a long way to go.
Zendejas will go for a 1-point PAT. Remember, you can drop kick it through and get a 2-point PAT. He has done that, by the way. This conventional point after is good. Zendejas with a point after, and the American Conference refuses to say die. Down a couple of times by 20. They're back to within 12, and we'll be right back.
The covered bridges of Madison County. They're even more magical now than when I was a boy. Hi, this is Mike Pace for Benevente Chevrolet. You know, there are lots of places to buy a truck or van, but it's kind of like the bridges. served people well for over 60 years, and the word gets around. Beneventi Chevrolet Geo, Highway 141 in Granger. This is where you buy your Chevy truck.
Matt O'Brien keeping our statistics tonight. He's headed for a job as the operations director for the new Northern Michigan franchise in the Midwest Baseball League and the Oakland A's organization. Tell you what, Mike, I can't think of a sport, even pro basketball, where a statistician more earns his pay than in this game. Can you?
Matt's doing a great job for us, and moving on to the great game of baseball in the Midwest League, Class A ball.
And Matt, when you get to the big leagues with the Oakland A's, remember Morgan and Newell, okay?
There you go.
Here's Gales on the return, across the 10, to the 15. Carries the tackle with him out to the 18-yard line.
Pretty good return. Pretty good return. Gales digs it out and brings it upfield, and this will be the third possession of the second half for the National Conference Stars, wearing the white football jerseys over or the blue football jerseys over the white football pants. Yep. Gales will bring it out just shy of the 20. We'll call it the 18. First and 10, third possession, the National Conference Stars.
We've seen 33 points scored in this second half so far. The pass is caught by Stevie Thomas, who has 4 touchdown catches. He's wrestled down at the 24-yard short of midfield by Michael Clark from the Detroit Drive, who had a league record 82 tackles in the past season.
Dynamics here, Larry. The American Conference All-Stars scoring in all 3 possessions in the second half. And 2 possessions, 2 scoring drives for the National Conference. They're in their third. Who's going to break the string?
Both teams are on fire. The center is Dennis Dalkey from the Tampa Bay Storm. Snaps to Gruber, his teammate, and the pass was caught by Bethea, but then was rocked away from him. What a hit by Chris Harkness of the Cleveland Thunderbolts. There was a Thunderbolt.
You betcha. From behind, he caught him right in the shoulder pads. Harkness wears glasses, and he shook his own glasses loose after putting this hit. Oh.
He shook a few glasses loose around this arena. No question about that. Third down, 5 yards to go for the National Conference. They really want to keep this drive going because the American Conference has suddenly caught fire with Justin at the controls. Gruden all the way at quarterback for the blue-clad National Conference. Pump, fires long, and the pass is caught for a touchdown by Fred Gales. Gales took it away from 2 defenders because both Michael Clark and Chris Harkness were there, and they had him covered, but it didn't matter for Fred Gales. He's into the end zone, and it is a 50-32 ball game.
Let's take a look at it. Here's Jay Gruden going upstairs. Gales, after the ball was committed to, that's Harkness playing the catch-up, and Gales sneaking in. Third possession, third score for the National Conference.
You know, I guess they're going to rule that he was out of bounds, that he didn't quite make it. He's out of bounds at the 2.
I guess Harkness had it right. He waved it off.
So he apparently either hit the sideline barrier. I guess he hit the sideline barrier at the 2. So we were play early. Finally, Ryan Bethea carries it in from 2 yards out. Bethea with a touchdown run.
We'll take a look at it.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, right there.
Right
the
there,
left
right
foot
there.
and the right foot before he gets in, and Chris Harkness kind of helped with that call. Ryan Bethea sneaks in from 2 yards out. You'll see him round the corner, head for the corner, and the touchdown on the ground with Black setting up for the extra point attempt.
So now it is 50-32. Mike Hold, 2 hold for Mike Black. The attendance has been announced, Mike, 7,189. That's a terrific crowd for a game put together in 3 weeks.
Yes, 3 weeks to get this thing off the ground, set up the arena, contract the players, get all the wheels moving in motion and in the same direction, by the way. And congratulations to Jim Football, the arena, Jim Foster in the arena.
No, Football's his middle name.
Jim
You were
Football,
right.
That's right. And the Arena Football League, the first ever All-Star game in the AFL.
Black backs up on the procedure call. Hold to place the ball down. And this one is good. So with 8:27 left in the ballgame, it is a 51-32 lead for the National. We'll return to Veterans Auditorium right after this timeout. Along with Mike Newell, this is Larry Morgan, rejoined by Howard Balzer from Pro Football Weekly, who's doing double duty, both broadcasting on WHO Radio, the live coverage with Jim Zabel, and then joining us for the television coverage here on TCI of Central Iowa. This ball will fall short of the net. Howard, that's the kind of thing that we've seen a couple of times in this game. If you could perfect that, that's exactly what you want to do.
That really is, and Tyrone Thurman for the second time was upset because he wants a chance to return it. The last time we saw it happen, he kicked the ball afterwards. He was so upset, but you keep the ball out of Tyrone Thurman's hands on the kickoffs, and you're doing all right. And I'll tell you, if the National Conference goes on to win this game, which it appears they will, the difference is going to be Danny White's decision to play both his quarterbacks. Because I don't think there's any doubt if Paul Justin had played the whole game, we'd have a much closer game at this point. Because in the second half, with Justin at quarterback, the American Conference has actually outscored the National 21-20.
And Justin, of course, is back at quarterback for the American Conference. Sam Moore comes in motion to the left. Justin looking for Moore. He makes the grab at the 15-yard line and is nailed as soon as he makes the catch by Darryl Philon. 7 minutes, 55 seconds left in the game, and of course the clock runs to the final minute on every play.
With that completion to Sam Moore, talk about numbers. We were impressed with Jay Gruden in the first half. Paul Justin is 8 of 9, 83 yards. And of those 8 pass completions, 3 have gone for touchdowns. By the way, the pass that he didn't complete was a deflection, so we can forgive him this time, can't we?
Yes, we can. The former Hawkeye, John Rolk at center. Justin hit as he throws, and the pass goes into the stands. Big hit put on him by Sylvester Bembury.
And a penalty flag comes down late, which is caught by Marlon Brown.
Well, there's the Arena Football in the stands, and you'll see now Justin go upstairs, and just as he released, the intended receiver, of course, was Tyrone Thurman, and boy, did he hit the deck in a hurry.
And Howard, the penalty was called, and it was against the defense.
That's right, roughing the passer, so you talked about that, and the official a little late in dropping the flag, but did it nonetheless, and that doesn't have anything to do. They want to keep this game close. They wouldn't do that, would
no,
they?
I wouldn't think so.
No.
Bembury, number 77, to put on the pressure, 6'3", 285 pounds from Central Florida. And he's been all league in the Arena Football, 3 different years.
Of course, we couldn't see that play follow through. It looked like the initial contact was right when Justin was throwing the ball. Maybe that's why the flag came late. Maybe he got a little extra in there a little too late.
Flint Fleming is in the backfield behind Justin. Justin flushed out of the pocket, and he hooks it forward to Fleming. However, they're going to rule that Justin was down.
Justin not happy with that call. He's yelling at the official. He did a good job of flipping it.
Well, I tell you this, Keith Browner just made a lifelong friend along the sideline. You'll see this as Justin drops back, and he's going to get some heavy pressure. He'll do the flip. Flint Fleming will be on the receiving end. It's ruled that he has stopped in forward progress, and up the field here, Browner catches up with Flint Fleming and delivers the football into the stands. What a guy.
What do you think, guys? Looked pretty good to me.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good, too. And I don't think they have an in-the-grasp rule in Arena Football.
Second down. Justin now has time as the field opens up, and he completes the pass to Tyrone Thurman. Thurman gets to the midfield stripe. Ridden down on the play by Terry Dowden. 5 minutes, 57 seconds. The clock continues to run in arena football. The American Conference trying to make a comeback, down by 19 points. Not going to be easy.
Bowden with his hands full. Corey Dowden with Tyrone Thurman cutting upfield. He tried to go underneath the sweeping arm of Corey Dowden. Yep, dipped down a little bit, but he was right there for him.
It is a 3rd and 5 call coming up for the American Conference with 5:25. Now, you know they can't be thinking field goal. If this one fails on 3rd down, you got to figure they're going to go for it on 4th down. Penalty marker at the snap. Thurman makes the catch, but the play will be blown dead.
That's too much time again.
Yep, I believe that it was dropped at the buzzer. Too much time in between plays, and it'll cost them. And Larry, I think you have it right. Why go for 3 when 6 or 7 is still going to keep you in the ball game? 3's not going to help you that much when you're down by 19.
Howard, if this were a close game, we would talk about, well, you know, there's always the drop kick option. Have you seen it used very much?
Not very much at all. I think there was 1 drop kick this year. In fact, I think Mike Black did it in 1 game. But I believe in the history of the league, there's only been 2 or 3 instances where the drop kick has been successful.
For the first time, we have a measurement to change their stretch to find out if the American Conference has picked up a 1st and 10, and they have. So it's 1st down for the American Conference from the 18 of the National with 5:12 to play. And the American down by 19. Danny White and Paul Justin discuss the play. 7,189 on hand here tonight, really showing their support for arena football and their desire for Iowa to get a franchise.
45 touchdown passes this season for Paul Justin. He has 3 in the second half. He's looking for number 4 right here.
The France wide left. Thurman was straight behind him. Now he will go in motion. Justin goes to the right side to Moore, who had it and dropped it.
Sam heard some footsteps. Off the shoulder pads again.
47 catches for Sam Moore this year, Howard Balzer. He doesn't do that very often.
No, he really doesn't. Of course, with a not very good team, the Dallas Texans, and right there Sam Moore just looked up and was looking to run before he caught the ball. So there's that lesson to you youngsters out there always. Catch the ball, look it into your hands first, then run with it.
Howard,
2nd and 10 for the American.
Howard, very quickly, evolution, 7 years. Have the players gotten better? Has the strategy gotten better? Has the execution gotten better in this AFL?
Oh, there's no question about it. We see just with a Paul Justin coming into this league, we see how accurate he is, the velocity he throws the ball with. Everything has improved from year to year.
Justin slips as he throws, and it's incomplete, and it will bring up a 3rd and 10. He got great pressure, but went down under his own power when he slipped on the artificial surface.
The strategy, Mike, is interesting because there's only so much you can do on the small field, and certainly the game has evolved somewhat. We see the pick play used quite often in different strategies, but basically, I think what appeals to the fans and appeals to the players is the simplicity of arena football. In a sense, it's almost like playing in your backyard to a degree. There's not that much of the preparation that we see in other levels of football. You just go out there and play, and every team is really pretty similar in what they do.
Tonight, 83 points are on the board. We've still got 3:20 left. And it's even more than the average arena football game.
There it is again.
The France and Thurman had come out to the left, and once again, the play clock expires.
That's the 3rd delay violation whistled on the American Conference Stars.
Of course, with the penalty being only 3 yards here, probably not as important at this point that the American Conference is getting a good play call.
You think of a 3-yard penalty. That's no penalty. We're talking about 3 yards. You can make that up in a second.
Especially the way Justin throws the football.
Yeah. Might as well take your time. 12 teams as of next year, Howard Balzer, with the addition of Las Vegas and Milwaukee. What do you anticipate past 1994?
Well, that's at least 12. There's still a possibility another 2 could be added for next year. Anaheim, Atlanta, Oklahoma City have expressed interest, but
Justin from the France, incomplete. He was covered by Corey Dowden.
We know there'll be at least 12, possibly 14 next year, and you have to be a little careful, too, because you can't expand too fast
because that can lead to some problems if you just have too many shaky organizations. But I think it's real important that they do expand the horizons into other markets. And I think one key, eventually, in terms of perception of what people have of arena football, a lot of people, especially Madison Avenue, New York, don't think that a league is big league until you're in the New Yorks and the Chicagos and the Los Angeleses. And you have to be in those big markets to really get that perception. And eventually, I think, maybe 3 years down the line, the Arena Football League has to be in those cities.
Could be the last gap for the American Conference. 4th down, 13 yards to go. Justin is back. Fires, looking for LaFrance. Makes the grab.
Whoa.
And he is nailed at the 2-yard line in the American Conference. Keeps their flickering hopes alive. Dowden on the tackle. And again, the little guy, not big by receiver Sanders, the 6'180", makes a big, big grab.
We'll see LaFrance at the goal line take the hit into the boards, and Howard Balzo, how far away is the league from that big television contract to get more money to the players? As everybody knows, there are salary caps for the players to keep everything in line. How far away is it?
Well, next year it looks like there'll be a Game of the Week live on ESPN2, the new offshoot of ESPN. Now, whether there'll be big money in it is another factor. Basically, it comes down to the sponsorships, because no network gives a lot of money to a league unless they know they can sell the sponsorships.
Justin leaks into the score. And it is 51-38 with 1 minute and 3 seconds to play. As Paul Justin has thrown for 3 touchdowns, and now he sneaks for 1.
Yeah, they just passed around the sheets for us to fill out, MVP and Iron Man, and you can make a case for Paul Justin being the MVP of this game, because even though they're probably going to end up losing, he is the American Conference's most valuable player, as we've seen in the difference in this football team in one half to the next.
And you get a look at Justin there. Had a terrific year for the Arizona Rattlers, passing for almost 2,900 yards. Then Dejas with a point after attempt, 1 minute to play. The score 51-38 in favor of the National. They will go
drop kick for 2. He's got it!
All right.
Then Dejas had done it once before, and he's done it again.
Interesting. You just asked me about that, and seconds later we see it.
I like that.
Indeed, Luis Zendejas will see it here, the drop kick. Oh, they love it here at Fetz Auditorium in Des Moines.
I'll tell you, he did that so well. I don't know why he doesn't do it more often.
First successful drop kick for the Arizona Rattlers for Luis Zendejas this season, and he gets one here.
Now we'll see if he can drop kick the onside kick. I think we have to see an onside kick here from the American Conference. It's their only chance of... They basically have to score 2 touchdowns in the last minute of the football game, and they're going to have to get possession.
Gentlemen, I'm looking at all those youngsters down along the board. They have no idea what a drop kick is.
Yeah, that's true. That's for sure.
What do you do? What do you do? What do you do?
And it's very difficult. I mean, the drop kick is not easy with the football they use today. Obviously, in the olden days when the ball was much rounder and more oblong, it was a little bit easier to do a drop kick. It's much tougher with the football of today, and you really have to get your timing and get the ball just as it hits the ground. Otherwise, it's going to bounce funny.
Zendejas had converted a 2-point kick against Cleveland during the regular season, and now he does it in the Arena Football League All-Star Game. An 11-point lead for the National Conference. They've led twice by 20. And Zendejas with the approach, and obviously everybody looking for the onside. You see the National Conference pulling everybody tight with the lone exception of Fred Gale.
Of course, they did lead by 23 when they led 31-8 in the first half, so really a great comeback by the American Conference.
And there it is, and there's a big pile. It's still loose.
Flag is down. Apparently, there was a violation across the goal line.
It was recovered by the American Conference by Kent Wells out of Nebraska, but let's wait and find out what the penalty's all about.
Are they going to rule that maybe the American Conference touched it before it went 10 yards? It looked like it went 10 yards and then bounced backwards. We'll wait for the official call.
I think we had somebody across the goal line.
Yep.
Somebody had encroached past the point of the kick.
That's exactly right.
And so the National Conference gets the ball deep in American Conference territory with 57 seconds to go. Well, great effort as we take another look at it.
That was Dan Sellers, I believe, who towed the goal line. I think that was a pretty good guess, though, that maybe the American Conference had touched it, because that's what I thought. Exactly, Howard Balzer, that in that pileup that contact was made with the football before the 10 yards had advanced. Zendejas doing his best to dribble it off the tee.
Now the ball here, it looks like they're giving it to the National Conference. Did they recover that kick?
They didn't appear to recover it, but
Well, here's
the
another
official
replay.
indicated that it goes to the National Conference.
So they declined the penalty. And I think Pete Catella, the American Conference coach, is saying, no, on an offsides, that's an automatic penalty. You don't get the option of declining it or not.
The National Conference offense is on the field. Mike Holt has come in to do their quarterbacking out of Orlando.
Yep, they're going to think about this one. They're going to think about this one. The placement is now the 3-yard line, and what the explanation is, I don't know. Maybe we can pick it up.
The important thing is, with 57 seconds to go, the National Conference, the team that scored on the first play of the game and has led all the way, has got the possession.
What the official said was you can't re-kick on an onside kick, and that's why the National Conference gets the ball. And now he puts in Mike Holt.
And Holt goes into the end zone.
He just earned his $150 bonus for winning.
Holt into the end zone from 2 yards out to make it a 57-40 ball game with 52 seconds remaining. Mike Holt was through here with Arizona during the preseason game. Played for Orlando, but played sparingly and got into the end zone there. Used the first time that he has snapped the football in this game. It had been all Gruden until then.
And now Holt on the hold.
And Black will attempt the point after. Black hits his 11th point of the ball game. He's been a busy guy tonight. And so there's a timeout with 52 seconds remaining. The National Conference leads the American Conference 58-40. Back right after this. Howard Balzer, you never know in an all-star game whether the players take it seriously or not. I'd say when you look at that point total, they have taken it seriously tonight.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it. You see in the NFL all the time, you know, the players have fun during the week, but as soon as they hit the field, they're competitors.
LaFrance takes it out of the American Conference end zone. Tries to reverse his field. Good regain of balance across the 10 and slides out of bounds as he gets to the 13-yard line.
I still can't get used to those boards. I want to tell you, that drives me crazy.
I'll just pretend it's hockey.
LaFrance is an exciting player. He's been a bit frustrated tonight. He's caught a couple of touchdowns, but he's a guy who's worked a lot of magic in this league.
He has. He was very frustrated in the first half with Todd Hamill's inaccuracy, threw a lot of balls into the ground, and that's what really killed the American Conference in the first half.
So the ball is placed down with 46 seconds on the clock, a 1st and 10 for the red-clad American Conference.
We'll probably still see 2 more scores here.
Justin draws back. Somebody had his hand on him, but he throws it up in the air anyway. It's intercepted by Andre Johnson. Johnson, 20, 25, and he's into American territory and brought down at the 23-yard line by Tyrone Thurman. So Andre Johnson out of the Charlotte Rage comes up with the interception.
Yep, here it comes. He had to get rid of it in a hurry and shot the blind pass upfield. Johnson, you'll see on the return, favors going right up the middle, and the ball goes into the stands.
Yeah, I guess the cameras didn't pick that up. One of the best throws of the night by Justin. Fired it into the stands. Perfect spiral as he expressed his frustration.
He is a fiery competitor, and I'll tell you what, you talked about his chances with the Bears. Remains bitter that they didn't give him more of a look.
And I'm surprised that another team didn't pick him up after that to give him a look, because, like I said, I think he could be a backup in that league, just as good as a lot of backups.
Holt wants another score. Oh. And what a collision there. The intended receiver was Fred Gales, and he got caught in a sandwich.
Michael Clark comes up on him, and Richard Carey also is in the picture. You're going to see the collision, blind collision. Neither knew the other was there.
Actually, Gales does a good job of breaking it up. If it wasn't for him colliding with Clark, Clark comes up with the interception.
Following the ball game, we will have the presentation of the MVP and the Iron Man Award.
I don't know, I voted for Stevie Thomas MVP and Keith Browner as the Iron Man.
I might have had to vote for Jay Gruden, the kind of game he had.
Yeah, can't argue that.
Bowden picking his way inside the 10-yard line, carries it down to the 8.
Bowden, pretty good choice for Iron Man also.
Yeah, he is. He's made a couple of big defensive plays as well as the offense. I guess I got to go along with you for Browner, though. He's had some big plays.
And really, the difference in the game that the offensive and the defensive line for the National Conference is just controlled things for the most part all night.
98 points are up on the board, gentlemen. Are we going to crack 100 or what?
Nope, because we got 5 seconds. Unless they score on this play, the last play of the game.
Look for Holt to do it. He's going to complete it to the end zone.
Yes, right your 100. You got your 100.
To Fred Gales. Gales catches it as time expires.
What about the extra point?
It is a 64-40 ball game pending the extra point.
If they do it, they might just say game's over. I think the officials are saying it's over.
Well, then that's the way it will end. As Gales reaches up and carries it into the end zone at the buzzer. And Holtz gets a touchdown pass in this all-star game. So it is all over. The National Conference leads all the way. They score on the first play of the game. They score on the last play of the game. And they win it 64-40. And we'll be right back.
He loves this game. I'm presenting this on behalf of Anheuser-Busch and Nesbitt Distributing. The Iron Man of the game, best two-way player, to Mr. Keith Browner. Congratulations.
Walking.
And now I'd like to bring up one of our presenting sponsor for tonight's game, a great sponsor for Arena Football. I hope you get one of their posters on the way out, a commemorative poster. I'd like to bring up Mr. John Sutton from Bowman's Bank to present the Most Valuable Player Award to Mr. Jay Gruden, who last week won it at the championship game, 2 weeks in a row, the MVP. Jay?
Great game. Great game. Oh, Bowman's Bank, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
And finally, we'll get the score right tonight. We can have Mr. Larry Kaharick and his coaching staff come to the front. Larry won the championship last week. Great coach, son of a great coach, Joe Kaharick, carrying on the tradition of his father. 2 big wins in 2 weeks. I'd like to have Alan Schwab, on behalf of the ownership of Arena Football, Alan, the owner of the Charlotte Rage, present the championship trophy, done for flood relief, even includes the sandbag. We're going to present this now to you. Thank you for coming. We hope to see you next year on a full-time basis.
Jim Foster, ladies and gentlemen.
A big year for the Tampa Bay Storm. They win the Arena Bowl last week, and some of their key players lead the National Conference to a 64-40 win in this first ever Arena Football League All-Star game. It's been Mike Newell and yours truly's pleasure to be working with Howard Balzer for nearly 2 decades. He's covered the pro football scene. And Howard, before we let you go, just some final observations on not only the game, but the support for this game here in the Des Moines community.
I think the support was great. As Jim Foster mentioned, what the league has basically said is, they're a little skeptical. They basically said, well, you show us through season tickets, through commitments to season tickets, that this area can really support an arena football team, and then we'll go along with the application. So Jim Foster basically has issued the challenge to the people of not only Des Moines, but the entire state of Iowa, commit to season tickets, and then he'll make applications for a team. So I think there's a good chance. I know he's enthused about it. The fans were enthused tonight. And again, as I mentioned, they've turned out wonderfully for 2 games that are basically exhibitions. And I don't think there's any doubt that there would be support. When it's your own team, it's totally different. Your own team to root for.
Nice to hear from you. Nice for those comments. Howard enjoyed it.
It was my pleasure working with you guys.
Like General flood relief, also a major benefactor. We can't forget that. That was an important factor tonight.
Yes, indeed. In the 3 weeks since the decision was made to put an all-star game into effect and then to put it in Vets Auditorium here in Des Moines, a lot of people have responded. Attendance tonight, 7,100 and change. And we take a look at Jay Gruden, who is named the most valuable player here. He has 13 completions, 21 attempts, 188 yards, and 5 touchdown passes. Hey, he's not backing into the pay line at all, is he?
No, he isn't.
But yes, indeed, Frug Relief, the number of Frug Relief charities which are underway will be the benefactors in proceeds from tonight's game. And our congratulations to Jim Foster and the Arena Football League for pulling this game off. Remember, 2 weeks of ticket holders tonight. Hang on to those stubs. They've got 2 weeks to set it up to be able to buy season tickets for the first Des Moines franchise, Des Moines-based Iowa franchise in the Arena Football League. And there's Keith Browner, the Iron Man in this particular football game. Congratulations go out to him. And by the way, the money is held in escrow, so if the franchise does not materialize, you get your money back.
And by the way, 2 weeks, and everybody who bought the tickets was given information sheets on what to do. If after those 2 weeks you want to come down and buy tickets, just come right here to Veterans Auditorium. They'll be ready to take care of you at the ticket office. I'll tell you what, Mike, from what we saw in April, from what we've seen tonight, I know this. I want arena football here, and I know you do too.
I just love it. I'll tell you, the people that who have seen it here live and in person, television helps you get the idea of what it's all about, obviously. But until you get down here, to hear the way these guys hit, to see the speed and the quickness of these individual players, it is really amazing when people come away from a live shot of arena football. The guy in between us, by the way, is Matt O'Brien. Helped us out with our statistics tonight here in the broadcast booth. Our thanks to him. Our thanks to Peter Burns, who joined us in the first half. Howard Balzer, of course, from Pro Football Weekly. And our thanks to John Hand, our producer tonight.
And it's been fun. We hope that you enjoyed it. The National Conference scores on the first and last play of the games, and plenty of time in between to win it by a score of 64-40 before a crowd of 7,189. So, for our crew, for all of us, we appreciate your watching. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast of the first ever Arena Football League All-Star Game played at Veterans Auditorium in Des Moines, Iowa.